Warrior Lore. Chapter 1177. That's right. He's the Demon King Du Xiaofu. I'll remember him even if he turns into ashes. Demon King Du Xiaofu. He's the leader of the 12 godly heroes, the Demon King Du Xiaofu. As the beautiful woman's voice fell, some of the disciples who had been to Tianhuang mainland in the crowd around the square suddenly exclaimed in shock after they were reminded of it. He's the Demon King Du Xiaofu, the leader of the 12 godly heroes, the Demon King who even killed the descendants of the true dragons? Heavens, Fu Dabai is the Demon King Du Xiaofu. Why did he come to our Hahuan school? I heard that Elder Kaiyin was killed by the Demon King on Tianhuang mainland. In an instant, the Hahuan school square was in an uproar. The legends of Tianhuang mainland were brought back to the Hahuan school by the disciples who had been to Tianhuang mainland. The Demon King Du Xiaofu's name resounded throughout the Hahuan school. Furthermore, the Demon King Du Xiaofu's name had already spread throughout Shangzhou. Many of the Hahuan school's disciples even revered the Demon King Du Xiaofu. He had killed the descendants of the true dragons, reigned over Tianhuang mainland, and left behind many savage legends. Such a terrifying existence made people yearn for and revere him. And now, the leader of the 12 godly heroes, the Demon King Du Xiaofu, who was ranked above Kyushu, had appeared in front of them. Just now, he had crippled Elder Fei, who was at the peak of the extraordinary martial venerable realm, in one move. This was enough to prove the terrifying strength of the Demon King Du Xiaofu. On the high platform, Ji Zhiyin's eyes moved in their sockets as they rippled. It was obvious that Ji Zhiyin was also very shocked. She had heard the Demon King Du Xiaofu's name before, even when she was at her grandmother's house. Ji Zhiyin muttered in her heart. So her big brother Dabai was actually the Demon King Du Xiaofu. On the high platform, the Demon King Du Xiaofu's name was spread. The top Xiong's Du Xiaofu's name. Su Muxin was the only one who wasn't surprised. She already knew about it. The name of Demon King Du Xiaofu spread, and in an instant, the entire square was filled with undercurrents. Activate the seal to suppress the Demon King. A middle-aged man appeared in the square. Rumble. As the middle-aged man's voice fell, many rune-light pillars appeared around the square. Waves of rune-light pillars soared into the sky with Du Xiaofu as the center. Finally, they gathered in the sky and activated a terrifying seal array. This terrifying seal array covered the sky and the sun. Its terrifying aura made people's primordial spirits tremble. Roar. The runes around the seal array were resplendent. A dazzling light filled the air. The shadows of various strange beasts were faintly lingering on the surface of the seal array. Even an ordinary martial domain realm cultivator would not be able to escape from the seal array. This Demon King has come to our Hahuan school to seek his own death. I heard that the Devil Religion and the Divine Radiant Court are searching for this Demon King in the central region. Who would have thought that this Demon King would actually come to our Hahuan school to seek his death? As the seal array was activated, some of the experts from the Hahuan school on the high platform were delighted. The seal array could even trap an ordinary martial domain realm expert. No matter how ferocious and powerful the Demon King Du Xiaofu was, he would definitely die today. As the seal array was activated, its power filled the sky and the earth. The cracks on the ground of the square became more and more intense. The wind and clouds surged in the sky. The terrifying power caused the sky to change color. All the Hahuan school disciples around the square were trembling in fear. This was especially true for the new disciples who had just joined this time. Each and every one of them felt their scalps go numb. How could they have imagined that there was such a terrifying expert hidden among them? Why is there no movement? Could he have been suppressed to death? A moment later, no activity was emitted from within the trapping beast star suppressing great array. This caused the smiling experts from the Hehuan sect to involuntarily reveal doubtful expressions. Finally, someone could not help but dash out and approach the seal array in the square. They looked at the seal array cautiously. Everything seemed a little abnormal. There's no movement at all. Although the Demon King Du Xiaofu is ferocious, he won't be able to withstand a single blow from our Hahuan school. An old man who looked to be in his 50s sneered complacently. The Demon King Du Xiaofu, who was the strongest among the younger generation in Kyushu and dared to kill the descendant of the true dragon, had fallen in the Hahuan school. If this news were to spread, it would definitely make the Hahuan school's reputation rise greatly. Chi. Just as the old man finished speaking, a dazzling golden rune suddenly shot out from the seal array in front of him. The golden rune was very strange. It seemed to be disintegrating the seal array. To be precise, the golden light turned into a golden lightning bolt that shot out of the seal array. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a huge phantom of a five-fingered mountain. The phantom of the five-fingered mountain pressed down from the sky and landed on the old man in his 50s. The golden five-fingered mountain was too fast, and it was also unexpected. The terrifying aura froze the void as if it was the beginning of the world. The earth trembled, and the old man in his 50s had no time to dodge. Boom! The golden five-fingered mountain peak pressed down, and the ground of the square seemed to have collapsed. Large cracks appeared on the ground, and many of the surrounding experts retreated in shock, quickly evading. The phantom of the five-fingered mountain retracted, and a golden figure stepped out like a demon god. He was wrapped in golden light, and a pair of golden wings spread out from his back. The golden light in his eyes was like the sun. It was intimidating. This demon king-like figure was none other than Du Xiaofu, who had just been trapped in the seal array. As for the old man in his 50s, he was only left with a pool of blood on the messy square. He couldn't be more dead. Do you think you can trap me with a seal array? Du Xiaofu's roar was like thunder, and it shook the void and produced thunderous sounds. His voice was domineering and intimidating, and it made people's hearts tremble. It was like a drum being hammered, and it made people's hearts tremble. Why did the demon king come out? The beast-trapping star-suppressing array wasn't broken. Why did the demon king come out? Quick, join forces and attack together to kill the demon king. In an instant, many martial honored realm experts of the Hahuan school wanted to join forces to attack Du Xiaofu. Now that the demon king had come to kill them, they couldn't let him do as he pleased. Kill. Du Xiaofu let out a loud roar that shook the entire square. The golden rock wings on his back spread out and swept across the sky. Golden light burst out, and a patch of golden light talisman inscriptions swept out like a storm. The two martial-honored realm He Huan sect cultivators were swept up into the sky, and one of them exploded in mid-air. Everything happened too fast, faster than lightning. Du Xiaofu stretched out his hand and imprisoned the other person in the air. No, help! The martial-honored realm expert of the Hahuan school was imprisoned by Du Xiaofu. His face changed and he was terrified, but he couldn't break free. How dare you? At the same time, the 6 martial-honored realm experts had joined forces to attack Du Xiaofu. 2 of them were extraordinary martial-honored realm experts, and they were about to land on Du Xiaofu. Chila. The golden rock wings on Du Xiaofu's back flapped, and a claw print imprisoned the martial-honored realm expert. Du Xiaofu sneered and plunged into the trapping beast star suppression array. Chila-la. The moment he entered the trapping beast star suppression array, Du Xiaofu sneered. He squeezed the claw print in his hand, and the martial-honored realm expert turned into a bloody mist. The martial-honored realm expert was killed instantly, and Du Xiaofu's figure disappeared into the array. Rumble. The joint attack of the martial-honored realm experts hit the array, and there was a terrifying impact. The array trembled and the runes exploded, but the array didn't shake at all. Chila. In the next moment, the golden light in the charm array exploded and the 5-finger mountain shadow rushed out again, accompanied by a terrifying aura that was enough to make a martial honorable realm cultivator's meridian soul tremble. It pressed down from above and directly crushed a Nirvana realm martial honorable realm cultivator of the He Huan sect. Chila. The golden rock wings on his back flapped, and his speed was faster than lightning. Du Xiaofu avoided the obstruction of the 2 martial-honored realm experts, and he threw a punch at the complete martial-honored realm middle-aged man closest to him. He had to attack the weaker ones first so that he could kill them in one blow. Bastard! On the high platform, an old man with long yellow hair could no longer hold it in. His eyes were gloomy, and his voice was like thunder, causing the surrounding to tremble. Chi. In the next moment, The old man with long yellow hair appeared above the square like a ghost. He took a big step forward, and his eyes shone brightly. In the blink of an eye, the old man's palm was filled with bright yellow lightning. It lit up the sky, and a yellow lightning swept towards Du Xiaofu. Boom! Du Xiaofu's punch hit the complete martial-honored realm middle-aged man's fist. When the two fists collided, the middle-aged man's body flew backward, and his body exploded in mid-air. Chila, Du Xiaofu didn't slow down at all. Just as the yellow thunderbolt was about to strike him, Du Xiaofu had already figured it out. He flapped his golden rock wings and flew towards the talisman array that was set up in the square. Rumble. When the yellow thunderbolt arrived, Du Xiaofu's figure once again disappeared into the talisman array. Bang, bang, bang. The bright yellow lightning exploded, and the entire star beast suppressing array shook. Lightning runes exploded, but it was still unable to destroy the charm array. The Star Beast Suppressing Array was originally set up by the Hahuan school to suppress Du Xiaofu. However, at this moment, it seemed to have become Du Xiaofu's trump card. Remove the charm array. Remove this charm array immediately. The old man with long yellow hair was furious, and his voice was like thunder. In the depths of the sky behind him, yellow lightning flashed and covered the sky, as if he was a deity. Chapter 1178. Withdraw the formation. As soon as the yellow-haired old man finished speaking, a loud shout rang out from the surroundings. Then, the beast-trapping star-suppressing formation dissipated amidst rumbling sounds. Bang! Just as the symbol array dissipated, a golden light shot out like a bolt of lightning. In the opposite direction of the yellow-haired old man, a mysterious martial honorable exploded. A golden figure appeared soon after. The resplendent light became more and more dazzling as the wings on his back flapped. It was Du Xiaofu. That mysterious martial saint thought that he was far away and would not be in any danger. At this moment, he did not even know how he died. The numerous Acacia faction exalts besieged Du Xiaofu. Any one of these exalts was an overlord, but in the blink of an eye, several of them had been slain. The hearts of the surrounding Hahuan school disciples sped up as they stared at the golden-winged figure. Back down, everyone back down. Leave this bastard to me. The yellow-haired old man's roar was like thunder, shaking the hearts of many people present. Their bodies trembled, and their legs went soft. Another elder was killed right under his nose. The yellow-haired old man flew into a rage and strode towards Du Xiaofu. The old man's yellow hair fluttered in the wind. His eyes shone with yellow lightning that seemed to be able to illuminate the entire square. Behind him, the yellow lightning that filled the sky shuttled back and forth, making him look like a thunder god. Du Xiaofu hovered in the air, looking at the yellow-haired old man. His eyes trembled slightly as he muttered, "Cultivator of the Thunder Upanishad." Rumble. The old man with shoulder-length yellow hair appeared 300 meters away from Du Xiaofu. The power of thunder and lightning spread out from his body, covering the entire square. Sizzling sounds of thunder and lightning were heard, shattering large areas of the ground. "Brat, you won't be able to leave my Hahuan school even if you grow wings today. You have to pay the price for killing an elder of my Hahuan school." The old man with shoulder-length yellow hair stared fixedly at Du Xiaofu with eyes that rippled with earthen yellow lightning. Dense killing intent filled the sky as he said, "Listen well. I am Earth Leizuan. Today, you will die at my hands." Du Xiaofu raised his head slightly and looked at Leizuan, who was approaching with a domineering aura. A smile surfaced on his resolute and determined face. However, there was a hint of malevolence in his smile. His wings glowed with golden talisman runes and soared into the sky. Suddenly, Du Xiaofu flapped his wings and soared into the sky. Golden light shot out from his eyes as he stared at Leizuan on the ground. His voice was bone-chilling as it resounded throughout the Hahuan school. "You're not qualified to take my life even if you're a Hunyuan martial venerable." Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, a terrifying aura of a consummate martial venerable swept out from Du Xiaofu's body. The golden wings on his back overflowed with light and filled the air. It was as if a real rock had spread its wings and soared into the sky. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was like a real golden-winged rock descending. He carried the domineering will of the golden-winged rock clan. Roar! What a terrifying aura. Demon King, is Du Xiaofu a human or a supreme demon beast? As the aura of the golden-winged rock spread out from Du Xiaofu's body, the entire Hahuan school's demonic beasts roared and hissed. Everyone's meridians and souls trembled. That terrifying aura was that of a supreme demon beast. So you're only a consummate martial venerable. I have to admit that you have some strength. Unfortunately, you're going to die today. Lei Zuan's face was ashen. His entire body was wrapped in yellow lightning. He cultivated the domineering lightning mystery, and his strength could be said to be invincible among those of the same level. His figure shot out explosively. Surging and vigorous Xian Qi accompanied the lightning and turned into a lightning palm print. Boom! It covered a distance of 100 feet in an instant. It covered the sky and covered the earth as it enveloped Du Xiaofu. There's Taiji in Yi. It gives birth to Yin and Yang. Yin and Yang give birth to the 4 divisions. The 4 divisions gather in Xian and Huang, stabilizing the 8 directions and suppressing the common people. Facing the terrifying lightning palm print, Du Xiaofu did not retreat. As he muttered, his hands formed a seal with lightning speed. The Xian Qi in his body was like a torrential flood. It condensed along the hand seal and instantly condensed into a hand seal. The hand seal shone brilliantly. It was like a resplendent golden color. A powerful energy pressure spread out from it, causing the space to tremble violently. The resplendent golden hand seal caused countless gazes to look at it. They could not help but be frightened, and their souls trembled. Xiaoyang seal. Everything was as fast as lightning. Du Xiaofu's hand seal swung out to meet the attack head-on. In a flash, it violently collided with Lei Zuan's lightning palm print. In an instant, an earth-shattering sound suddenly resounded in the void. Boom! 2 frightening hand seals collided. Terrifying rune energy ripples swept out like stormy waves, brightly illuminating the sky. At the center of the energy storm, the surrounding space seemed to have collapsed, creating a huge, pitch-black hole. It seemed that the 2 of them were evenly matched in this attack. Earth Lightning Pagoda. Suppress. In an instant, Lei Zuan's figure flashed across the sky like a ghost. He traversed the space amidst the energy storm. The lightning runes turned into a lightning mountain peak and smashed down from the sky with the intention of suppressing Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu flapped his wings and raised his head. A domineering aura that caused one's heart to turn cold gushed out from his face. It felt as if the golden wings of a real rock had descended. Qila. Facing the lightning mountain peak, Du Xiaofu stretched out a claw from his hand. Golden light erupted and dazzling runes wreaked havoc like golden lightning. It was as if a golden-winged rock was about to spread its wings and soar into the 9 heavens. Such a domineering and frightening aura shouldn't appear in a human. It could only exist in the bodies of demonic beast sovereigns. Under this golden claw, the surrounding Hahuan school disciples all felt their souls tremble. It was as if they were facing a king sovereign. Qilal. Golden light erupted from the terrifying claw. It was as if countless golden lightning snakes were sweeping out. The space along the way was instantly distorted. It was as if an invisible hand was about to crush the space at any time. In an instant, the golden claw ruthlessly grabbed the lightning mountain peak in an incomparably domineering manner. Great rock chaos shattering claw, break. A deep voice rang out from Du Xiaofu's mouth like a rock's cry. The claw fell on the lightning mountain peak and devoured it. The space was distorted to the extreme. It actually squeezed the lightning mountain peak until it was distorted. Brat, this sovereign has comprehended lightning. It's not something you can break. The great earth thunder reverend sneered loudly. His hair danced wildly. The lightning mountain that he had condensed was distorted by the claw, but it did not really crack. Subsequently, the surrounding frightening bright yellow thunderbolts charged towards Du Xiaofu with destructive power. Comprehending lightning. Huh? Du Xiaofu sneered. Suddenly, purple lightning gushed out from his palm. The purple lightning within the claw turned into a frightening lightning vortex. It directly devoured Lei Zuan's dazzling yellow lightning. Lei Zuan's expression changed. Subsequently, The lightning mountain peak he condensed was directly crushed by the purple-gold claw. Monstrous, profound energy poured out along with the dazzling lightning. Is this all that the chaotic element martial sovereign has? In the sky, Du Xiaofu crushed the lightning mountain peak. Golden light flickered in his eyes along with the lightning. Mysterious talisman runes burst out. He flapped his wings and a monstrous golden light burst out. He began his fierce counterattack. Profound soul eye. Rock descends to the 9 heavens. Sky-shaking wings. Sumeru illusion. Du Xiaofu erupted. With his surging profound energy as the support, numerous attacks practically instantly condensed in his hand, and it was even mixed with obvious attacks in the Tao of Talismans, causing everyone to be dumbstruck and flabbergasted. This was something that was practically impossible for an ordinary person to accomplish. The Devil King's body seemed to have an endless amount of profound energy that could be squandered by him. Roar! Hand seals condensed. Du Xiaofu urged the green-headed dragon, profound cloud scarlet dragon, howling sky demon tiger and other beasts to roar and shake the mountains and rivers. They surged and covered Leizuan. Chilala! Du Xiaofu's hand seals condensed again. Mysterious talisman runes flickered and erupted. A huge, grass-shaped object condensed in front of Du Xiaofu. It was a stalk of grass. Its entire body was crystal clear, and the shape of the grass was like a mushroom. Waves after waves of terrifying pressure descended upon them. With the appearance of this stalk of grass, everyone in the square trembled again. The profound energy in everyone's body was also absolutely suppressed at this moment. They even felt that their vitality was being sucked out. As the stalk of grass condensed, Du Xiaofu's golden eyes were still erupting with coldness. He waved his hand, and the mysterious talisman runes condensed again. The second stalk of grass flew out. This stalk of grass had slender spiritual leaves. The mysterious talisman runes flickered. Its aura spread, making the depths of one's soul feel relaxed and happy. This stalk of grass was not inferior to the first stalk of grass. It was rarely seen in the world. This stalk of grass could purify the spirit platform and suppress all evil. Qi La, the 2 stalks of grass, along with the mysterious talisman runes, turned into 2 beams of light and directly wrapped around Leizuan. Heavens! The first stalk of grass is the grass of immortality. What is the second stalk of grass? It can't be inferior to the grass of immortality. It's rarely seen in the world. How is this possible? This Demon King, Du Xiaofu, how can he activate so many attacks? Could it be that he has 10 divine gates in his body that contain profound energy? Those are all great divine abilities. A single person comprehending so many divine abilities. This Du Xiaofu is too inconceivable. Following Du Xiaofu's crazy attack, it caused the surrounding high platforms to scream in shock. Who could activate such crazy attacks like this? It was simply an indiscriminate bombardment. Chapter 1179. At this moment, being bombarded by Du Xiaofu's indiscriminate attacks, Earth Leizuan was enveloped by beast energy, suppressed by the attacks, and entangled by the grass of immortality and dark seeker grass. He was in a sorry state. Break! Earth Leizuan's roar was like thunder. Light overflowed, and terrifying lightning power erupted. Monstrous lightning spread out from his body and swept in all directions, colliding with Du Xiaofu's indiscriminate attacks. After all, a chaotic element martial venerable was a chaotic element martial venerable. He was a top expert in this world. The lightning ultimacy that the great Earth Reverend cultivated was also very powerful. Rumble. Under the impact of the terrifying lightning, Earth Leizuan's aura erupted. The dazzling yellow lightning on his body destroyed the void as if it was going to destroy heaven and earth. It destroyed all the attacks and disintegrated them in midair. Whoosh! Golden light erupted. Du Xiaofu's figure soared into the sky and suddenly released dazzling starlight. Within the golden light, a mystical aura spread out from Du Xiaofu's body. Mysterious runes of light surged and shrouded him. The multicolored light around his body was like stars rotating and fluctuating. There was a kind of extraordinary holiness in the domineering aura that made people's minds ripple when they looked at him from afar. In the next moment, Du Xiaofu's hand had already shot out. Mysterious runes of talismans gushed out from the hand. The hand was suffused with starlight and could devour light. It was as if the space above the square had suddenly fallen into the night. The pressure was unparalleled and suppressed the vast sky. The hand distorted the space like the stars in the night sky releasing their light. It carried a vast aura that covered the sky and the earth and directly suppressed Earth Lazuin. Earth Lazuin had just destroyed the indiscriminate attacks in the sky. He raised his head and saw the terrifying hand pressing down. The violent power affected the space and devoured light. It was as if the starry sky had descended and almost penetrated the space, causing the ground below to crack continuously. Humph! Earth Lazuin snorted. His gloomy eyes shot out dazzling yellow lightning like lightning. The mysterious runes of the lightning talisman blossomed and turned into the shadow of a lightning dragon. Ho-oh! The lightning dragon phantasm streaked across the sky. In a flash, it violently collided with Du Xiaofu's star palm. Rumble! Such a collision, an astonishing collision of energy, the thunderous sound of energy, resounded through the sky. The two terrifying attacks collided, and suddenly, a terrifying energy ripple swept out like a stormy sea. Lightning exploded, starlight rippled, as if it was about to be destroyed. When everyone in the square looked at the sky above the square that had exploded, they could not help but gasp. For ordinary Haohuan school students, a battle between experts of this level was something they would never see in their lifetime. Deng deng! In mid-air, the two figures staggered back at the same time. Lazuin's figure staggered back a dozen steps, traversing hundreds of feet before stabilizing his body. The golden-winged great pong behind Du Xiaofu wrapped around his body, forcing him to retreat 100 feet before he could stabilize himself. Qila, Du Xiaofu flapped his wings and revealed his true body. His face was slightly pale, and his aura was slightly inferior. A true chaotic element martial honorable was absolutely terrifying. Compared to the old woman from the Fei family and Xiang Huangshan, Lazuin was much more tyrannical. Although there was only a small gap between a peak transcendent martial honorable and a chaotic element martial honorable, the two were on two completely different levels. As expected of the Demon King, at such a young age, he was actually able to fight with Elder Lazuin to such an extent. The fourth-year young disciple exclaimed in shock. The young Demon King's name was well-deserved. What a powerful kid. No wonder he was able to kill the descendant of the true dragon. Some of the Haohuan school's experts on the high platform side. At this moment, none of them dared to underestimate the young man. The Demon King, Du Xiaofu, was able to fight with Elder Lazuin to a standstill at such a young age. The indiscriminate bombardment from before also left people with lingering fear. If this continued for a period of time, just how terrifying would the Demon King become? Su Muxin looked at the tyrannical young man in the air and stood there quietly. Kid, you have many tricks up your sleeve. Unfortunately, in front of absolute strength, everything is fleeting clouds. Lazuin took a deep breath. He was surrounded by resplendent yellow lightning. He knew that the Demon King's name was not in vain. He needed to use his true strength to deal with him. That depends on whether you are strong enough or not. Du Xiaofu flapped his wings, and the corners of his mouth slowly curled into a sneer. Golden light swept out like a storm and enveloped the golden light, revealing an unconcealable domineering and intimidating aura, just like a real Demon King. Lazuin looked gloomy. He looked at the young man in front of him, and the yellow lightning in his eyes became more and more resplendent. In the entire Shang Prefecture, Lazuin had a good reputation. He had never been looked down upon like this by a junior. It's time to end this, Lazuin said. His old face revealed a cold intent. In the next moment, majestic Xian Qi swept out from within Lazuin's body. Resplendent lightning filled the sky and whistled out. The aura of a chaotic element martial saint surged out without restraint. In a short moment, Lazuin's body was covered in lightning talisman patterns. Finally, they condensed into a huge resplendent yellow lightning ball in the air. Crackle! This lightning ball was resplendent yellow. The talisman patterns shuttled back and forth in the yellow lightning clouds in the sky along with the yellow lightning arcs. It gave off a demonic feeling. However, amidst the demonic feeling of the lightning ball, there was also a destructive pressure descending from the sky. Under that destructive pressure, the energy of heaven and earth in the entire Hahuan school seemed to be in chaos. Gasps could be heard one after another. Everyone was shocked. The human emperor Marshal Vane has fused with the profound of thunder and lightning. This guy has actually reached this step. Du Xiaofu looked at the terrifying yellow lightning ball. It was like a lightning star falling from the Milky Way. The terrifying pressure made people tremble in fear, and their scalps tingle. That terrifying power made Du Xiaofu gasp in amazement. A chaotic element martial saint was indeed a chaotic element martial saint. Even if he used all his strength and used all his means, it would be difficult for him to deal with a chaotic element martial saint. Leizuan was an expert at the same level as his master, Gu Qingyang. What shocked Du Xiaofu the most was that Earth Leizuan had clearly fused his martial vein and the profound of thunder and lightning together to form an even more terrifying power. The lightning ball hovered high in the sky, causing lightning to flash and thunder to rumble. It was as if doomsday had arrived. Earth Leizuan's eyes were filled with killing intent. He raised his hand and shook it, pointing directly at Du Xiaofu. A voice filled with killing intent, accompanied by a domineering lightning, resounded through the sky. Lightning of the great earth, destroy. As the cold shout fell, the terrifying lightning ball, accompanied by a resplendent yellow lightning glow, swept out with a destructive force. Rumble. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled wherever the lightning ball passed. It was like a falling star, ruthlessly descending towards Du Xiaofu. Crack, 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 crack. As the lightning ball descended, the ground of the entire Summer Sky Plaza exploded one after another. It was as if a bomb had exploded, and the ground exploded with Du Xiaofu as the center. Elder Leizuan has already used all his strength. Can the Demon King still resist? The Demon King, Du Xiaofu, with the cultivation of a perfect martial saint, can't resist Elder Lei Guang's chaotic element martial saint, right? On the high platform, the experts of the Hahuan school watched nervously, not daring to blink. As for those with lower strength, under the resplendent lightning, they couldn't even look straight at it. The terrifying lightning ball collapsed, causing the heavens to collapse and the earth to crack. Golden Light's eyes began to glow with purple lightning. Du Xiaofu's hand seals condensed, and his entire body was covered with a kind of purple lightning talisman rune. Suddenly, with Du Xiaofu's body as the center, waves of purple lightning surged out from the void and instantly covered the entire sky. Boom! The purple lightning gathered, instantly causing the entire Summer Sky Plaza to tremble violently, causing the resplendent yellow lightning to be slightly diluted. Rumble! Du Xiaofu activated his thunder martial vein, and Leizuan used all his strength to activate his martial vein. He had no choice but to use all his strength. The purple lightning immediately spread, and destructive lightning fell from all directions. Lightning swept across the sky like a rainstorm. Purple-silver snakes flashed in the void, and the aura was vast. A wave of punishing aura spread. It didn't carry any killing intent, but it showed the majesty of creation and the righteousness of heaven and earth. This lightning was different from Leizuan's yellow lightning. This purple lightning was strong and young, and it could sweep across the heavens and punish the common people. In comparison, the yellow lightning trembled as if it had met the thunder sovereign, as if it was about to crawl. What kind of martial vein is that? What a terrifying lightning power! As Du Xiaofu activated his thunder martial vein, the faces of the surrounding Hahuan school's experts changed, and their eyes were filled with shock. They could all feel the terror of the Demon King's martial vein, and the power of lightning was obviously much stronger than Leizuan's thunder profound meaning. If the two of them were at the same level, Leizuan's thunder profound meaning wouldn't be able to withstand a single blow. How dare you play with lightning in front of me? Withdraw! Du Xiaofu shouted tyrannically, and the purple lightning in his eyes seemed to materialize as it rushed out. Just as the 100-meter-long ball of lightning was about to collapse, Du Xiaofu suddenly opened his mouth, and a huge devouring force gushed out, bringing with it a purple lightning that swept across the sky. In the next instant, a horrifying scene appeared under the countless shocked gazes of the crowd. The lightning ball activated by Leizuin was about to descend on Du Xiaofu's head, but strangely, it was directly devoured by Du Xiaofu. The lightning ball, which was powerful enough to destroy heaven and earth, didn't seem to cause any harm to Du Xiaofu at this moment. It even seemed to submit to Du Xiaofu as if it was facing a supreme being, and was directly swallowed into his stomach. How is this possible? Everyone was shocked. The scene in front of them was unbelievable, and even if they saw it with their own eyes, it was still unbelievable. Chapter 1180. Leizuin's eyes were filled with disbelief. His all-out attack had actually been so easily blocked by the Demon King Du Xiaofu. Furthermore, the Demon King Du Xiaofu was even able to devour his lightning profound energy. His opponent's lightning pressure made his heart tremble. Crackle! Leizuin clenched his teeth and waved his hand rapidly. Within his hand seal, a gigantic 100-foot-tall giant bear phantom appeared. Roar! The 100-foot-tall giant bear was wrapped in lightning. It was like a yellow cloud that covered the sky, accompanied by a terrifying ocean-like aura that rolled out in all directions. The giant lightning bear phantom's eyes were ferocious. Its huge body was overflowing with a terrifying aura as it swept down towards Du Xiaofu like a meteor. Ancient thunder devouring bear. Du Xiaofu raised his eyes. His body was covered with electric arcs, and lightning surged in his eyes. They were like two suns that illuminated the vast sky, overlooking the earth. The overbearing aura in his body was like a volcano that suddenly burst out from his body. In the next moment, Du Xiaofu swept his sleeve horizontally, and the golden wings on his back flapped. Instantly, an expanse of golden talisman markings surged out from his body like a golden ocean, and countless bolts of lightning shot into the sky. Finally, under the shocked gazes of the surrounding people, the lightning and golden light condensed into a purple-gold lightning giant rock. The giant purple-gold rock phantom hovered high up in the sky, covering half of the sky. Its mighty and overbearing aura was suffused with a domineering aura of destruction, causing the people in all directions to feel weak in the knees. Coo! The purple-gold lightning giant rock screeched. Its voice seemed to pierce through the sky, and the sound waves distorted the space. The purple-gold lightning large Pong flapped its wings and rose into the air. The large Pong swung its claws and a dense purple-gold lightning arc rapidly distorted. Finally, it transformed into a purple-gold lightning claw that was dozens of feet large. The lightning claw print pierced through the space barrier from high up in the sky and heavily landed on the giant bear phantom that was pouncing over. As the terrifying purple-golden claw landed, the overbearing and intimidating Supreme Being aura directly crushed the giant bear's shadow. At this moment, purplish-gold lightning bolts wreaked havoc in the sky. The lightning bolts were boundless, and it was as if there was a purplish-gold sun in the sky. Chi-la-la, the claw mark tore through the giant bear's shadow and destroyed it. At the same time, Du Xiaofu opened his mouth and swallowed the lightning ball into his body. Pfff, Leizuin spat out a mouthful of blood, and his eyes were filled with shock and astonishment. At the same time, Du Xiaofu's figure appeared above the rock's head. His figure soared into the sky with his head held high. His eyes were like rolling thunder, and his body was covered with electric arcs. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was connected to the violet gold rock, and an incomparably vast aura suddenly spread out like the tide. He also pounced towards Leizuin, and the violet gold rock beneath his feet pounced towards Leizuin. Not good. Leizuin was truly shocked for the first time. The last of his majestic profound chi surged, and a resplendent yellow lightning wrapped around his fist. The lightning spread out, and this was his last full-force attack filled with anger and fear. A fist against the violet gold rock. Boom. The two collided, and surging profound chi fluctuations crazily spread out from the point of collision. It actually shattered the violet gold rock, and the monstrous energy ripples caused the sky to tremble. Overbearing sword Wei. At this moment, an indifferent and domineering shout rang out, and a purplish gold sword light that seemed to have been prepared long ago swept out. This sword strike was as if it could split a mountain. There was nothing fancy about it, and it was just a simple slash. However, as this sword swept through the sky, the space where the sword light passed almost collapsed, revealing traces of a vacuum. A domineering energy pressure that caused one to tremble violently emanated from the purple-gold sword glow, causing the entire space to tremble violently. A terrifying sword intent also swept through the clouds. That domineering sword aura caused one's hair to stand on end. Leisuin didn't have time to dodge at all. He quickly retreated and activated his defense with all his might. Swish, however, all of this was still half a step too late. As the sword light descended, Leisuin avoided his vital points, but the sword light directly struck his left shoulder. There was no loud sound of energy, only the terrifying sword light turned into strength chi-rune ripples. It was like a tsunami that suddenly swept out in the surrounding space, transforming into countless sword lights that flew away. After that, everything slowly calmed down, but Leisuin let out a miserable scream. Ah! Leisuin's left arm was cut off at the shoulder. Fresh blood dripped down as he screamed miserably. In the air, Du Xiaofu flapped his wings and soared into the sky, and the violet-gold heavenly fault appeared in his hand. The violet-gold heavenly fault was like a tiger bone and a dragon bone, like a phoenix facing the sun, like a divine turtle entrenched in the sky. The aura of the peerless divine weapon wreaked havoc in the sky. Taking advantage of his weakness to kill him, Du Xiaofu didn't stop at all and attacked again. Golden light burst out from his eyes as he slashed out again. Swish! When this sword slashed out, the sword light connected with heaven and earth. Its aura was as vast as the sea, turning into waves of sword light that swept forward. This wasn't a wave, but a wave formed by the interweaving of terrifying sword light that carried the sword intent of the domineering sword path. A vast expanse of golden sword light covered the sky, drowning everything. Elder Lei, you can leave now. On the high platform, Su Muxin finally spoke. There was shock in Chao Lu's eyes, but she didn't seem to be too surprised. The corners of her mouth curled up slightly, and she said softly, "Senior sister, I'll have to trouble you again." Just as Su Muxin's voice fell, a beautiful figure quietly appeared in the sky above the square, and a charming laughter spread out. Hee hee, the rumored demon king Du Xiaofu is really extraordinary. No wonder you're the #1 person among the younger generation of Kyushu. With the appearance of this person, the energy of heaven and earth above the square was also affected. Her figure seemed to be able to cross space, and she instantly appeared in front of Leisuin. This was an extremely beautiful woman. She looked like she was in her 30s, but she looked extremely young. She wore a white dress, and her face was lightly powdered. Her eyebrows and the corners of her eyes were full of lust. The appearance of this person immediately attracted Du Xiaofu's attention. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's sword light seemed to have stopped. With that kind of strength, even if she hadn't reached the level of a half-domain, she wasn't far from it. Nirvana Martial Venerable. Du Xiaofu felt the strength of this person. She wasn't far from his 7th martial uncle, Venerable Qian Xing. She was definitely a Nirvana Martial Venerable. The beautiful woman looked at Du Xiaofu, and her watery eyes seemed to drip water. She seemed to be smiling, and it was enough to move the hearts of all men. She muttered softly, "What a domineering sword essence, and an extraordinary divine weapon. It seems to be the wings of the golden-winged rock. I'm so envious." As her voice fell, the beautiful woman waved her hand. Her long sleeves shook, and the energy of heaven and earth gathered at an astonishing speed. In an instant, it turned into a resplendent rune light screen, and it directly blocked the sword light that was about to fall. Crash! The two collided, and Du Xiaofu's monstrous sword light actually fell apart after a short stalemate. It turned into broken sword light and dissipated. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Almost at the same time, the beautiful woman's moving figure split into 9. The 9 figures were exactly the same, and they formed a circle around Du Xiaofu. 9 pairs of watery eyes intentionally or unintentionally released a spring light. At the same time, the 9 rune energy ribbons were like lightning. They carried a resplendent light and a violent force, and they landed on Du Xiaofu, who couldn't dodge in time. Bang, bang, bang. 9 low-energy muffled sounds were heard at the same time. Du Xiaofu's body suddenly trembled, and the surrounding space was also shattered. However, his body in the center didn't move at all. Ugh! A mouthful of pale golden blood was spat out from Du Xiaofu's mouth. His face instantly turned pale, and a faint resplendent yellow lightning overflowed from his body. His appearance was somewhat ferocious. I don't know how you were able to absorb Elder Lazuan's lightning mystery energy, but with your cultivation as a perfect martial saint, absorbing Elder Lazuan's lightning mystery energy wouldn't have any side effects. You must have suffered a backlash now. The beautiful woman spoke and smiled at Du Xiaofu. Her smile was full of smiles, and it was as if she was talking to an old friend at this moment. However, at this moment, everyone could feel that there was a truly terrifying aura within her beautiful body that couldn't be concealed. With a raise of her hand, she could tear the sky and space apart. Chapter 1181. Puffed. As soon as the beautiful woman finished speaking, another mouthful of pale golden blood flowed out of Du Xiaofu's mouth. The beautiful woman was right. Du Xiaofu was feeling terrible right now. Although Du Xiaofu's lightning veins could devour the power of lightning and even strengthen his own lightning veins, however, that Earth Lazuan's chaotic element Martial Honorable's lightning veins had been devoured by Du Xiaofu. If it weren't for Du Xiaofu's freakish physical body, that enormous amount of energy would have killed him. What Du Xiaofu needed now was time to consume that yellow lightning for his own use. The yellow lightning within his body was overflowing, and his qi and blood were surging. Just now, he had been affected by the beautiful woman and almost exploded. As the faint golden blood flowed out, Du Xiaofu looked around the square. His resolute and determined face was pale, but his eyes were still domineering and intimidating, so much so that it made one's hair stand on end. The tens of thousands of Hahuan school disciples looked at him. None of them dared to underestimate that tall youth. Such a savage demon king was able to kill several martial honorables under the joint attack of the many powerhouses of the He Huan sect. Even Earth Lazuan, who was at the level of the chaotic element martial honorable, had an arm chopped off. Among the younger generation of the 9 prefectures, who could achieve such a feat? Little brother, surrender. I can't bear to attack you youngsters. The beautiful woman looked at Du Xiaofu with a smile on her face. Surrender without putting up a fight? Those words don't exist in my dictionary. Du Xiaofu opened his mouth and looked around the square. A strange light flashed in his eyes. He took a deep breath and his expression suddenly relaxed. His pale face smiled faintly at the beautiful woman. Then, he looked at Su Muxin in the center of the square and said, Su Muxin, how about we make a deal? Hearing that, Su Muxin raised her eyes slightly and looked at Du Xiaofu. For some reason, the depths of her heart inexplicably trembled. Little brother, you killed so many Hahuan school disciples. Even more than 10 of our Hahuan school's elders died at your hands. Do you think there's still a deal to be made? Su Muxin didn't say anything. The beautiful woman continued to smile at Du Xiaofu as if she was talking about something normal. It was as if it had nothing to do with her no matter how many experts the Hahuan school died. Is that so? Du Xiaofu's eyes moved slightly when he heard this. He said, I wonder if the Hahuan school has a set of Qinyang dragon subduing arts. Du Xiaofu knew that he was in deep danger. Let alone Su Muxin, even the beautiful woman in front of him was difficult to deal with. Moreover, there were many hidden experts in the Hahuan school. Even now, Du Xiaofu could sense that there were many hidden auras spying on him. Any one of them was an extremely powerful existence. Although Du Xiaofu was determined to fight, he didn't intend to throw his life away. As long as there was a possibility, Du Xiaofu would leave without hesitation, even if he didn't take Ji Jian with him. In other words, Du Xiaofu knew very well that if he really died, he wouldn't be able to save Ji Jian. At least for now, it seemed that although Ji Jian was restricted, she was at least safe. The one who wasn't safe was him. The Qinyang Dragon Subduing Arts was a peak Earth level cultivation method. It was the peak dual cultivation method in the Hahuan school. Du Xiaofu couldn't be sure whether the ancient Heaven sect had a heaven-level cultivation method or not. He also didn't ask his master, Gu Qingyang, or his senior brother, Sima Taxing. However, Du Xiaofu knew that a peak Earth-level cultivation method was equivalent to a sect treasure even in the ancient Heaven sect. Du Xiaofu wasn't a fool to have obtained the Qianyang dragon-subduing arts in the Mount of Clouds and Rain. No matter how much the Haohuan school trained its disciples, it wouldn't put a peak Earth-level cultivation method in there. Moreover, it was hidden so deeply that ordinary people wouldn't be able to find anything unusual even if they saw it. The restrictions in the Mount of Clouds and Rain weren't strong. If news of a peak Earth-level cultivation method leaked out, it would attract experts above Kyushu. The Haohuan school definitely wouldn't be so generous. As a result, Du Xiaofu guessed that there was definitely something wrong with the peak Earth-tier cultivation method, the Qianyang dragon-subduing method, being placed in the cloudy Rain Mountains and hidden so deeply. Perhaps even the people of the Haohuan sect did not know about it. Du Xiaofu's guess was right. The moment Du Xiaofu finished speaking, the disciples in the surrounding square didn't feel anything. However, the eyes of some of the old men on the high platform suddenly trembled violently. In the sky above the square, Du Xiaofu could sense some hidden auras that were peeking over and violently fluctuated. Su Muxin's dewy eyes also flickered with a strange light at this moment. Just as she had guessed, the Qianyang dragon-subduing arts had appeared. Moreover, it was certain that the Demon King had obtained it, the Qianyang dragon-subduing arts. The beautiful woman's eyes also trembled violently. Her face that had always been full of smiles was now filled with astonishment. She then turned to look at Su Muxin on the high platform. It seems like there really is something going on. Du Xiaofu looked at the gazes around him and saw the fluctuations of the hidden auras in the air. Immediately, a hint of a smile flashed through his eyes. What kind of deal do you want to make? Su Muxin looked at Du Xiaofu and slightly raised her head. Her hair was tied up high, and her long hair flowed down her back like flowing water. Her voice also revealed a kind of gentle charm that was enough to make any woman infatuated. Listening to Su Muxin's words, Du Xiaofu was even more certain of his guess. A slight smile appeared on his pale face. Du Xiaofu pointed at Ji Jiyan, who was restrained, and said to Su Muxin indifferently, "Give her to me and let me take her away. In the name of your Haohuan school, I guarantee that you will not cause trouble for the other families. When I am safe, I will give you the Qianyang dragon-subduing arts. First, give me the Qianyang dragon-subduing arts. After I confirm that the Qianyang dragon-subduing arts is real, I will agree to your conditions." Su Muxin nodded. "Do you think I will believe you? Let her go first, and then I will give you the Qianyang dragon-subduing arts." Du Xiaofu looked directly at Su Muxin. Naturally, he did not believe Su Muxin's words. "Do you think you are in a position to bargain? You have killed more than 100 of my Haohuan school's elders and disciples. If I let you go, how will my Haohuan school establish itself in Shangzhou? Hand over the Qianyang dragon-subduing arts, and I will leave your corpse intact. Otherwise, not even your bones will be left." An indifferent and cold voice sounded as Du Xiaofu's voice fell. In the distant sky above the square, for figures suddenly streaked across the sky and instantly appeared above the square. There were a total of 3 beautiful women and a man who looked to be in his 30s. The 3 beautiful women all looked to be in their late 20s. They were all extremely beautiful and had extraordinary charm, especially the beautiful woman in the lead. She wore a golden misty cloud gown embroidered with many rich peony patterns. Her long, cloud-shaped thousand-water skirt outlined a graceful curve, just like a young girl. This beautiful woman's face was as charming as the moon, and her eyes were charming and seductive. She was not inferior to the beautiful woman who attacked Du Xiaofu first. The man was also very handsome. His face was broad, and his eyes were as deep and vast as the stars. As these 4 people arrived, the square immediately froze and trembled. "Greetings, Junior Sect Master." The 4 people came forward and bowed slightly to Su Muxin in the air. Their eyes were shining, and there was not much respect in their eyes. "Greetings, Sect Master." On the high platform, many elders bowed to the seductive, beautiful woman in the misty cloud gown. It was enough to show that the beautiful woman's position in Haohuan school was not low. "Elder Leizuan, are you all right?" The seductive, beautiful woman then landed beside Earth Leizuan, who had lost an arm. She frowned slightly. "Sect Master, I'm fine. I just lost an arm to that little bastard. Earth Leizuan glanced at Du Xiaofu in the air. His face was gloomy, and there was a hint of lingering fear. It's good that you're fine. I'll definitely mend your arm in the future. The seductive, beautiful woman nodded slightly. Although it was difficult to recover an arm, there were legends in this world that said that there were talisman masters who could refine pills that could restore flesh and bones. There were also legends that said that there were heavenly treasures that could restore a person's arm. Although those were all legendary sacred medicines, with the Haohuan school's ability, if they went all out to search for them, the chances were not high, but there was still a chance. I'm fine. It's just that we can't let that little bastard off for killing our Haohuan school's disciples. If the Qinyang dragon subduing art is really in that little bastard's hands, we'll definitely take revenge for the Manchu. Earth Leizuan glanced at Du Xiaofu in the air. His gaze was gloomy and cold. I didn't expect senior sister Zhao to be here too. Su Muxin looked at the seductive woman, and there were some fluctuations in her eyes. Today is the entrance ceremony. I was just about to take a look, but I didn't expect to encounter such a lively event. The birth of the Qinyang dragon subduing art is really a big event for our Haohuan school. The beautiful woman whom Su Muxin addressed as senior sister Zhao smiled at the former. Her eyebrows were beautiful, and her skin was as smooth as jade. She looked like a young girl. The neckline of her water skirt was very low, revealing her ample bosom. She was charming and seductive. What a coincidence, senior sister Zhao. Su Muxin smiled at the former. That smile seemed to have a kind of beauty that didn't differentiate between genders. It had a soul-stirring charm. It is indeed a coincidence. This Devil King killed many experts and disciples of my all-pleasure sect. This time, he even caused a ruckus in my all-pleasure sect. If this matter were to spread out, it would be difficult for my all-pleasure sect to gain a foothold in the Shang province in the future. Let me, your senior sister, deal with this small matter. As the sect supervisor, this is also my duty. Junior brother, what do you think? The beautiful woman smiled and said to Su Muxin, Senior sister Zhao Lu, this brat is already an arrow at the end of its flight. Just leave him to me. He doesn't have the qualifications to trouble senior sister Zhao Lu. The beautiful woman who first made a move against Du Xiaofu looked at Zhao Lu and said, her eyes flashed with a strange light, as if she didn't want the demon king Du Xiaofu to fall into the former's hands. Why didn't Su Muxin personally take action, and why didn't the true experts of the Haohuan school join hands to besiege him? The other kind was why Su Muxin guessed that Fu Xiaodu was Du Xiaofu. This was too fake. Just by hearing the name Su Muxin, one could tell that it was a girl's name. Why couldn't our pig trotter tell that it was a girl's name? Originally, Xiaoyu really didn't know how to answer this kind of elementary school student's question. However, there were many enthusiastic readers, so Xiaoyu gave a simple explanation. First, our pig trotter was still a member of the younger generation. The experts of the Haohuan school and Su Muxin were at least well-known figures. They weren't hooligans or street thugs. At that level, face was very important. They also had their own pride and identity. How could they besiege him like a swarm of bees? It was just like a child with a little more strength going to a big family to cause trouble. How could the big family openly besiege the child? As for why Su Muxin guessed that Fu Xiaodu was Du Xiaofu, in the previous chapters, Su Muxin already knew that Fu Dabai might be Du Xiaofu. Su Muxin deliberately lured him to the Haohuan school. How could Su Muxin not know? Su Muxin was the sovereign of the Haohuan school at such a young age. Naturally, she wouldn't have graduated from kindergarten. As for the name Su Muxin, it was obviously quite a neutral name. Moreover, as far as I'm concerned, I've seen a few names like Fong Fong and Yuan Yuan in my life. However, they were all 7 feet tall. Therefore, Xiaoyu didn't say much about the name. Xiaoyu won't explain similar questions in the future. Xiaoyu continued to work hard on writing. I wish everyone a happy reading. Lastly, can I exchange the Qinyang subduing dragon skill for a few fresh flowers? Hee. The Qinyang subduing dragon skill is guaranteed to benefit you endlessly in the future. Whoever uses it will know. Chapter 1182. Translator. H2 Mr. Junior Sister Myling, you've worked hard. However, I don't know if this brat really has our Haohuan school's Qinyang dragon subduing art. I believe that junior sister Myling has no way of making that brat obediently hand it over, right? After Zhao Lu finished speaking to the beautiful woman, her gaze turned towards Du Xiaofu. Her eyes were even more enchanting than peach blossoms, tugging at one's heartstrings. Her black hair was tied up into a beautiful bun, but at this moment, her face was dazzlingly gloomy under the sunlight. Her voice was cold as she said in a low voice, "Brat, hand over the Qinyang dragon subduing art and end your own life. Otherwise, you'll be miserable." Du Xiaofu looked at Zhao Lu in front of him. Her aura was clearly stronger than that of the beautiful woman who had attacked him just now. The two women and one man behind her were probably not any weaker than that beautiful woman. They were definitely powerful experts. The Hahuan school's strength is above that of the seven-star hall. Du Xiaofu frowned slightly. From the looks of it, the Hahuan school's strength was stronger than the seven-star hall's. Although the seven-star hall had his master and 6 martial uncles, the Hahuan school definitely had hidden experts. Their overall strength was definitely stronger than the seven-star hall's. What if I say that you're dreaming? Du Xiaofu stared coldly at Zhao Lu. Although he was currently in a dangerous situation, if he really wanted to leave at all costs, it was not as if there was no hope at all. Allowing himself to be captured without putting up a fight was not in Du Xiaofu's character. Is that so? Do you think that you can still leave today? The Hahuan school is not a place where you can come and go as you please. Zhao Lu laughed coldly. Her seductive eyes landed on Du Xiaofu, but they were filled with coldness. She pointed at Ji Jian, who was restrained beside Su Muxin, and said, "You seem to be here for that little girl. Do you want to be a sentimental person? If you don't hand over the Qinyang dragon subduing art and end your own life, I can guarantee that the first one to die will be that little girl. If you dare touch a single hair on her, I'll one day, all Hahuan school's art, till the Hahuan school Zhao Lu's Du Xiaofu's, Qinyang dragon's art, Du Xiao's Lu's art. Hee one day, what a good one. It's a pity that you don't even have a tomorrow." As Zhao Lu's voice faded, her figure had already strangely appeared on the high platform. She quietly stood beside the restrained Ji Jian. With a wave of her hand, a claw landed on Ji Jian's throat. She coldly stared at Du Xiaofu and said, "I'll give you 10 breaths of time. Do you want to hand over the Qinyang dragon subduing art and end your own life? Or do you want to watch this little girl die in front of your eyes? You dare!" Du Xiaofu roared. The golden chill in his eyes seemed to materialize as it shot out. A scarlet color gushed out from his eyes. Using Ji Jian to threaten him was what Du Xiaofu was most worried about. "Do you think I won't dare?" Zhao Lu sneered, her claw drawing even closer to Ji Jian's throat. That sharp gust of wind had already left several bloody scars on Ji Jian's snow-white skin. Ji Jian's eyes were red as she stared intently at the tall youth in front of her. She wanted to tell him to leave, but she was unable to make a sound due to the restriction. Du Xiaofu clenched his fists tightly. His scarlet eyes stared intently at Zhao Lu as he said, "Let her go. In the name of the Hahuan school, I guarantee that they will not deal with the Ji family. I can stay, and I can also hand over the Qinyang dragon subduing art to you. Otherwise, even if I have to risk my life, I will make the Hahuan school pay a heavy price." "You don't have the right to bargain," Zhao Lu sneered. She had no intention of backing down. "Senior Sister Zhao, I asked Senior Sister Myling to bring this little girl back. I feel that Senior Sister Zhao should first ask for my opinion before doing anything." At the same time, a ray of light as thin as a needle shot towards Ji Jian's neck and pierced towards Zhao Lu's claw. Qi. The thin ray of light pierced through space, causing Zhao Lu's expression to darken. Her delicate body immediately retreated slightly. Zhao Lu's claw relaxed and turned into a palm. A spatial vortex formed from runes gathered within it. A suction force swallowed out and directly grasped the thin ray of rune light in her palm. She then clenched her fist and destroyed it. Her expression could not help but darken. At this moment, Su Muxin had already appeared in front of Ji Jian. She flicked her dark purple sleeve and looked at Du Xiaofu in the air. "Surrender and hand over the Qinyang subduing dragon art. I will guarantee in the name of the Hahuan school that I will let this little girl leave and will never look for her again. Once the Qinyang subduing dragon art is verified, then I will decide how to deal with you." This is your only choice. You should be very clear that you cannot leave the Hahuan school today. Looking at Su Muxin, Du Xiaofu's scarlet eyes fluctuated. A strange expression secretly flashed across his face. He tightly clenched his teeth and retracted his great pung golden wings. He slowly withdrew his aura and said to Su Muxin, "Okay, I will stay and let her leave." Su Muxin faintly smiled and nodded. She then signaled to the beautiful woman in front of her. "Little brother, you are indeed a sentimental person." The beautiful woman's figure soared through the air. Several finger seals condensed into a seal and fell on Du Xiaofu's body. The seal brought Du Xiaofu to the high platform and landed beside Su Muxin. No need to go through so much trouble. If this kid really has the Qinyang subduing dragon art, he can't hide it from me. Zhao Lu didn't know why, but a trace of undetectable gloominess flashed across her face. She looked at Su Muxin in front of her and Du Xiaofu, who was under the seal. She asked, "Junior brother sovereign, I will go and see if that kid really has the Qinyang subduing dragon art. There shouldn't be a problem, right?" Su Muxin's eyes moved, but her expression didn't change as she replied, "Of course there won't be a problem. However, before we can confirm whether the Qinyang subduing dragon art is real, that kid is still useful. Senior sister Zhao should act appropriately. The Qinyang subduing dragon art is extremely important. Senior sister Zhao should be clear in her heart that if there is any problem, it will be a big problem." Zhao Lu kept smiling, but her eyes secretly twitched. She smiled and said, "Junior brother sovereign, don't worry. Senior sister knows what to do." Chi, as her voice faded, Zhao Lu's graceful figure appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. She formed a seal with her hands, and a mysterious symbol flew out from between her eyebrows and landed on her palm. Her palm turned into a claw and directly landed on Du Xiaofu's forehead. Boom! An enormous amount of Yuan spirit energy instantly gushed into Du Xiaofu's mind. The Yuan spirit energy was enormous, and it rampaged all the way until it directly gushed into Du Xiaofu's Naiwen Palace. Du Xiaofu was restricted, but he could feel that the Yuan spirit energy was extremely special. It seemed to be able to search for his Yuan spirit, and it instantly gushed into his Naiwen Palace. Plop! Suddenly, Zhao Lu trembled at this moment. Her eyes revealed a look of shock, and the Yuan spirit energy retracted at lightning speed. Spiritual thunder. This kid still has a spiritual thunder on his body. Zhao Lu involuntarily cried out in shock. In that split second, her Yuan spirit was directly attacked by the spiritual thunder, and she was greatly affected. That spiritual thunder seemed to be innately suppressing the Yuan spirit energy, causing even her Yuan spirit to tremble. Chapter 1183. Du Xiaofu's eyes were suffused with a wisp of surprise. As Zhao Lu's primordial spirit retreated in shock, a strand of hidden energy quietly fell into his body. There's still a bolt of spirit lightning in the Demon King's body. Hearing this, the surrounding experts of the Hahuan school were also astonished, especially Earth Leizuan. His gaze was tightly fixed on Du Xiaofu's body. When he first saw the wings on Du Xiaofu's back and the divine weapon in his hand, he did not show such a burning greed. Earth Leizuan had comprehended the lightning ability, and a bolt of spirit lightning was definitely a treasure that he needed the most. If he could obtain a bolt of spirit lightning, his cultivation would skyrocket and his future would be limitless. He would be able to break through the martial domain realm. A bolt of spirit lightning, how could it be related to our Munchu? Earth Leizuan involuntarily cried out in shock. However, before he could finish his sentence, he was interrupted by Su Muxin. "Looks like senior sister Zhao won't be able to find anything." After speaking, Su Muxin said to the beautiful woman, "Senior sister, bring Du Xiaofu into the heavenly prison and guard him closely." "Okay." The beautiful woman nodded, grabbed Du Xiaofu, and flew away. Along the way, Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered. His entire body was restricted, and he secretly pondered. He did not expect that he would still end up in the hands of the Hahuan school. Fortunately, he had the Qinyang dragon subduing art, and the Hahuan school would not immediately deal with him. As he expected, the Qinyang dragon subduing art definitely had an inside story in the Hahuan school. This had become a protective talisman for him. As long as he was fine now, Du Xiaofu knew that he still had a chance. He hoped that Su Muxin would keep her word and agree to release Jijian and not cause trouble for the other families. As long as he didn't have to worry about Jijian, Du Xiaofu knew that he still had a chance. It wasn't easy to trap him. The pitiful Du Xiaofu was carried by the beautiful woman, and after a short while, they arrived at a deep crevice in a deep valley that was tightly packed with talisman arrays. The crack in the deep valley seemed to go deep into the ground. In the end, they entered a secret cave that was built with special materials and covered with restrictive spells. This heavenly prison, it seems like it hasn't been used for hundreds of years. Little brother, this treatment is not bad. Just stay here for the time being. The beautiful woman opened her mouth and unlocked the restriction on Du Xiaofu's voice. I don't seem to have a choice. Du Xiaofu was restricted. But now that the sound restriction had been lifted, he was able to speak. That's not necessarily true. As long as little brother is willing to hand over the Qinyang subduing dragon art, I think that when the time comes, I will still have a chance to live. The beautiful woman was all smiles as she looked at Du Xiaofu. Her gaze was indifferent as she sized up this young man who had a resolute face, but was also domineering and ferocious. Her eyes were filled with a hint of charm. Du Xiaofu looked at the charming woman in front of him. She had an alluring figure. This woman shouldn't be young, but her figure and skin were well maintained. I don't know this big sister's name. When the time comes, I will naturally hand over the Qinyang subduing dragon art. However, my memory is not very good. I'm afraid that it will take me a while to remember. Du Xiaofu said indifferently. He needed to buy some time. Hee, little brother. Are you trying to get acquainted? There's no harm in telling you. This big sister's name is Tang Meiling. People outside call me the Laughing Rakshasa. The Laughing Rakshasa. Tang Meiling's voice was clear and charming, and her eyes were shining. This big sister advises you not to play tricks. Why don't you tell this big sister about the Qinyang subduing dragon art now? If my junior brother comes, he is not someone to be trifled with. At that time, the one who will regret it will be you. Du Xiaofu's heart sank. This Laughing Rakshasa Tang Meiling was full of smiles, but she was definitely not someone to be trifled with. Su Muxin was naturally even more difficult to provoke. However, if he were to hand over the Qinyang subduing dragon art now, he was afraid that he would really be in a dead end. Big Sister Meiling, if I hand over the Qinyang subduing dragon art, will I still be able to live? You can't lie to me, right? Du Xiaofu's pale face had a trace of a smile. If you hand over the Qinyang subduing dragon art, you will naturally have a chance to live. Although you have killed many of our Hahuan school's experts, handing over the Qinyang subduing dragon art can be considered as making up for your mistakes. There is still a chance for me to let you live. However, if you want to play tricks, I believe that little brother is also a smart person. When that time comes, don't blame this big sister for not doting on little brother. The Laughing Rakshasa Tang Meiling said lightly with a smile. However, there was a hint of threat in her words. Du Xiaofu could naturally feel the threat in Tang Meiling's words. The Qinyang subduing dragon art, which was at the peak of the Earth realm, was something so important that the Hahuan school would definitely not let it go. However, in front of the Hahuan school, the Qinyang subduing dragon art was his only protective talisman. Du Xiaofu knew that if he really handed it over, the consequences would be dire. Big Sister Meiling is right. How about this? If you want me to hand over the Qinyang subduing dragon art, you have to let me go first. Otherwise, how am I supposed to hand it over? Du Xiaofu secretly turned his gaze and said to the Laughing Rakshasa Tang Meiling, Hee, little brother, don't think this big sister is stupid. You know that the Qinyang subduing dragon art must have been obtained from the Cloud Rain Mountain. Right now, the method of the Qinyang subduing dragon art must be in your mind. You just need to hand over the method. Why do you need me to let you go? Little brother's abilities are not small. If something happens to you, I won't be able to bear the consequences. The Laughing Rakshasa Tang Meiling smiled faintly. She did not believe Du Xiaofu at all. She said, if little brother is really sincere, just say it. I'll copy it on a jade slip and give it to the sect master to verify. With that, a jade slip appeared in her hand. She waited for Du Xiaofu to tell her the method of the Qinyang subduing dragon art. Looks like Big Sister Meiling is already prepared. Du Xiaofu sighed and smiled bitterly. He then told her the method of the Qinyang subduing dragon art in his mind. Apart from the first few sentences, nothing else was true. An hour later, the laughing Rakshasa Tang Miling put the jade slip away. She looked at Du Xiaofu with some confusion in her eyes. She said, "Little brother, you're not lying to me, are you? My life is in your hands. Why would I lie to you?" Du Xiaofu said seriously, "All right, I hope you're telling the truth." Tang Miling smiled and looked at the resolute face in front of her. Then, she said, "You're really charming. No wonder that little girl from the Ji family was mesmerized by you. If this happened a few decades ago, elder sister would have been mesmerized by you too." As soon as he said that, the laughing Rakshasa, Tang Miling, appeared outside the secret room. She said in a charming voice, "Little brother, stay here for now. If the Qinyang subduing dragon art is real, big sister will definitely put in a good word for you." Rumble. With that, a huge, special gate fell down, sealing off the surroundings. Du Xiaofu's eyes sank as the gate fell. His expression immediately became extremely heavy. Chapter 1184. Undo the seal. Du Xiaofu muttered to himself. The Qinyang subduing dragon technique he had handed over was a fake. When the Hahuan school discovered that the Qinyang subduing dragon technique was fake, they would definitely come looking for him to settle the score. When that time came, Du Xiaofu knew very well that even if he didn't die, he would still suffer. Right now, the only way was to undo the seal left behind by the laughing Rakshasa, Tang Miling, in his body. Others might not be able to do this, but it didn't mean that Du Xiaofu didn't have a solution. Back when Du Xiaofu had been captured by Su Muxin, he had successfully undone the seal. Du Xiaofu only dared to come to the all-pleasure sect because he had some divine abilities, which was equivalent to having a lot of trump cards. Du Xiaofu was never a reckless person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to survive until now. It was just that others didn't know this. Just the mountain vein spirit alone could ignore all ordinary seals, even though it was currently sealed and couldn't activate the mountain vein spirit. However, Du Xiaofu knew that the lightning martial vein in his body didn't allow any aura to provoke it. Du Xiaofu knew how to activate the lightning martial vein. It had been the same back then. As long as he tried to activate it, he would be able to activate the lightning martial vein in his body and undo the seal on his body. Qi. Following Du Xiaofu's thoughts, the desire to break through the seal surged out. Just as Du Xiaofu had expected, his body immediately began to move. The thunder martial vein in his body began to move. Walala. As the mysterious runes on the talisman rippled, a surge of lightning energy immediately swam through Du Xiaofu's muscles, tendons, and bones. As the lightning martial vein started to react, Du Xiaofu also felt the strong seal placed on his body by the laughing Rakshasa, Tang Miling, slowly start to show signs of wavering. The thunder martial vein spread out and shook the restrictive spell. Then, it started to destroy it. As long as there was enough time, the lightning martial vein would be able to destroy the seal. By time, Du Xiaofu was pleasantly surprised. As long as he destroyed the restrictions on his body, he would be able to leave if he wanted to. All of a sudden, Du Xiaofu's heart skipped a beat. A surge of hidden power immediately surged out from his body, helping him destroy the restrictions that the smiling Rakshasa, Tang Miling, had set up. Du Xiaofu still remembered that it was left behind by Zhao Lu. But at this moment, the hidden energy was helping Du Xiaofu to remove the restriction in his body, which was equivalent to Zhao Lu secretly helping Du Xiaofu to escape. Du Xiaofu did not know why Zhao Lu wanted to help him. However, he could feel that Zhao Lu and Su Muxin were not on good terms. From this, it could be seen that Hahuan School also had some internal strife. However, this was definitely not the reason why Zhao Lu wanted to help him secretly. The most important thing is to break the seal first. Du Xiaofu did not understand, so he did not intend to continue thinking about it. The most important thing was to break the seal on his body. With the lightning martial vein and the hidden energy left behind by Zhao Lu exploding in his body, Du Xiaofu could feel that the restrictions placed on his body by the smiling Rakshasa, Tang Miling, were being broken at an extremely fast speed. You are now free. The Hahuan school will not cause trouble for the Ji clan. The Fei clan has suffered a heavy blow this time, so they should not cause trouble for the Ji clan for a short period of time. In the quiet courtyard, Su Muxin spoke to Ji Jiyin, whose seal had been broken. Her dark purple figure was tall, and her voice was soft and charming. What about Big Brother Dabai? Will you kill him? Ji Jiyin looked at Su Muxin and bit her lip. There was no joy in her eyes from regaining her freedom. Instead, there was a serious look in her eyes. Su Muxin looked at Ji Jiyin. After a few breaths of time, she softly said, "He is not your big brother Dabai. He is the Demon King, Du Xiaofu. The number of people who have died at his hands is more than 1,000,000. No matter who he is still my big brother Dabai. No matter how many people he has killed, I only know that my big brother Dabai will not kill anyone for no reason." Ji Jiyin's watery eyes were resolute. Even under the enormous pressure of Su Muxin's invisible pressure, she was still able to stare at Su Muxin. She said, "You are not planning to let Big Brother Dabai go, are you?" Su Muxin stood with her hands behind her back. She softly said to Ji Jiyin, "This matter has nothing to do with you anymore. Do you think that with your strength, you can interfere? Big Brother Dabai came here for me. You want me to stay, but you want him to leave?" Ji Jiyin looked straight at Su Muxin. Haha. Upon hearing Ji Jiyin's words, Su Muxin smiled faintly. Her smile was like a blooming epiphyllum. It was ethereal and charming, enough to charm all living things. "Little girl, do you think you have the right to bargain with Haohuan School? This world is very realistic. Without strength, you are nothing. If you had the strength to defeat me today, perhaps Haohuan School would have taken you seriously." Su Muxin smiled at Ji Jiyin. Ji Jiyin's eyes trembled. She knew that she was not strong enough. Compared to Haohuan School, she was no different from an ant. "I beg you, let Big Brother Dabai go. I will do anything you want." Tears rolled down Ji Jiyin's face as she pleaded. She began to blame herself in her heart. Why was she not strong enough? If she had absolute strength, she would not be so helpless now. "Little girl, you have to know that this world does not believe in tears." Su Muxin looked indifferently at Ji Jiyin. She said, "If I agree to let that brat go, would you agree to become my woman?" Hearing this, Ji Jiyin raised her eyes slightly. Her eyes were moist as she stared at Su Muxin. Her eyes flickered. After a long time, Ji Jiyin's red lips parted slightly. Her voice trembled as she said softly, "As long as you agree to let Big Brother Dabai go, I will agree." Sigh. Hearing this, Su Muxin sighed softly. After a long time, she took a few steps forward and stood in front of Ji Jiyin. She gently wiped away the 2 streaks of tears on Ji Jiyin's cheeks with her dark purple sleeves. She said softly, "Little girl, you are still too young. You don't even know who that brat is, and you don't know anything about him. I only know that Big Brother Dabai came here stupidly for me, even though he knew that he could not do anything to Haohuan School. He could have chosen not to come. You captured me just to lure him here, right?" Ji Jiyin instinctively took 2 steps back. She looked at Su Muxin and said, "I am willing to give up everything for him. If you really want to kill him, then kill me as well. Kill me while you still can. Otherwise, one day, when I come back to Haohuan School, I will definitely wash the Haohuan School in blood. Not even a chicken or dog will be spared." Haha, Su Muxin laughed. She looked at Ji Jiyin and reached out to let go of the green hair that was tied up at the back of her head. Then, she brushed a few strands of hair across her face. Immediately, under Ji Jiyin's shocked gaze, a beautiful face was revealed. It was a face that could captivate all living things. It was so beautiful that it was soul-stirring. You are a woman." Ji Jiyin was flabbergasted. She had never imagined that the bewitching youth in front of her would actually be a woman. The Fei family has suffered heavy losses this time, but they probably still hold a grudge against the Ji family. Sooner or later, they will not let the Ji family off. When that time comes, the Ji family will be in deep trouble. Su Muxin looked at Ji Jiyin. Her voice became even gentler and more enchanting as she said, "You are quite talented, and you have the heavenly Yin body. Even I only have the earthly Yin body. You are most suited to cultivate a set of techniques from Haohuan School. Apart from the Imperial Palace's dragon chi, you seem to have received other benefits. Your potential is limitless." The cultivation method of the all-pleasure sect was also not as rumored as the outside world. Become my disciple. With your talent and potential, you will become an expert sooner or later. Whether you are willing to become my disciple or not, as long as Du Xiaofu gives me what I want, I will do my best to spare his life. Now, you can choose for yourself. If you are unwilling, I will immediately send someone to send you away. Ji Jian looked at Su Muxin, who was originally a woman. Her eyes flickered as she pondered. After a long time, Ji Jian slightly raised her eyes. Her eyes were filled with determination. She immediately knelt down and kowtowed. Thump, thump. After 3 consecutive kowtows, Ji Jian raised her head and said, "Disciple greets master. Good, you may rise." Su Muxin smiled faintly. That smile was enough to charm everyone. Junior brother, junior sister. A figure rushed into the courtyard and entered the room. Seeing Su Muxin's feminine posture, she was surprised and said, "Junior sister, it's better if you don't expose yourself. If they know your identity, I'm afraid they won't be able to sit still." It was the laughing Rakshasa, Tang Miling. From her expression, it seemed that she already knew that Su Muxin was a woman. They can't sit still anymore. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come out today. The Qinyang dragon subduing art has appeared. This is not something they want to see. Su Muxin said to Tang Miling. Suddenly, her expression changed and she said, "Senior sister, why are you back? Where is that brat?" "That brat is in the heavenly prison." The laughing Rakshasa, Tang Miling, said to Su Muxin, "However, that brat is quite honest. He has already handed over the Qinyang dragon subduing art. I'm here to show it to you to verify its authenticity. In the Manchu, other than master, only you can verify the authenticity of the Qinyang dragon subduing art." As she spoke, Tang Miling handed a jade slip to Su Muxin and said, "It's a pity that master has been away for more than 10 years. He hoped to find the Qinyang dragon subduing art in those rumors, but there has been no news. I hope the Qinyang dragon subduing art that brat gave me this time is real. That brat definitely won't hand over the Qinyang dragon subduing art so easily. There must be a trap." Su Muxin took the jade slip and peered into it with her consciousness. Her delicate face then changed, and the jade slip instantly cracked and turned into powder in her delicate hand. She looked up slightly and said, "It's fake indeed. It's fake. That brat actually dared to lie to me. Does he think I'm easy to talk to?" Tang Miling was instantly enraged. Her face, which was always full of smiles, also had a hint of green and red on it. Thinking of that brat's solemn vow to her and his confident face, Tang Miling's heart burned with anger. "I didn't think that I would really be fooled by that brat. Quick, let's go to the dungeon." Su Muxin's eyes trembled. She had a bad premonition. "Do you think that brat can escape? I placed a restriction on him. He must be obediently in the dungeon. I'll deal with him later." The laughing Rakshasa, Tang Miling, said angrily, "That brat has a remarkable ability that can break the restriction." In an instant, Su Muxin had returned to her original male appearance. As soon as she finished speaking, her figure disappeared from the room. A voice rang out, "Jian, come with me." Su Muxin would never forget how that brat and another woman had been able to break the restriction she had placed on Tianhuang mainland. That brat can break the restriction. So what? The laughing Rakshasa, Tang Miling, smiled faintly. She gently pursed her lips and said softly, "There are restrictions everywhere in the heaven-level dungeon. There are also several layers of talisman arrays. Ordinary martial domain realm cultivators can't escape. Even if they break the restriction, they can't escape. Even if they escape the dungeon, they can't escape from the Hahuan school." As soon as she finished speaking, Tang Miling also disappeared from the room unhurriedly. Chapter 1185. Tang Miling calmly disappeared from the room. She didn't believe that Du Xiaofu could escape from the heaven-level heavenly prison. Inside the secret dungeon, a purple electric glow surged from Du Xiaofu's body. With a flash of golden light, the restriction on his body was finally broken. "It's not safe here. Let's leave this place first," Du Xiaofu muttered to himself. He looked around the secret dungeon and a smile appeared on his face. Then, the golden runes on his body flickered. The 5-finger mountain peak pole spirit was activated. Golden light flashed and Du Xiaofu's body was immediately enveloped by the mountain peak pulse spirit. Then, Du Xiaofu disappeared into thin air. There was no trace of him in the secret dungeon. Dusk fell on the Hahuan school. On a huge mountain peak that reached into the clouds, the surroundings of the palace courtyard were dyed with clouds and mist that glowed with a golden light. The moment Du Xiaofu's figure disappeared, a beautiful woman's eyes lit up. She said to the two beautiful women and the handsome man beside her, "That kid broke the restrictions so quickly. The Qianyang dragon subduing art must not fall into Su Muxin's hands." Even if the Qianyang dragon subduing art falls into Su Muxin's hands, it's not a big deal. Su Muxin can't practice another set of cultivation techniques. The handsome man said with a faint smile on his face, "All these years, I've always felt that something is wrong with Su Muxin. Even if he can't practice another set of cultivation techniques, he still has another set of cultivation techniques in his hands. Once the Qianyang dragon subduing art falls into his hands, it will be difficult to carry out our plan," the beautiful woman said. This woman was Zhao Lu. But now that Du Xiaofu has fallen into his hands, if Du Xiaofu really has the Qianyang subduing dragon exercise on him, I'm afraid that sooner or later Su Muxin will obtain the Qianyang subduing dragon exercise. A beautiful woman beside Zhao Lu had a worried look on her face. She was still charming and had an enchanting look on her face. Her invisible aura was definitely not below that of the laughing Rakshasa, Tang Miling. The restriction on Du Xiaofu's body has already been unlocked. That demon king is not easy to deal with. I secretly left a trace of spirit imprint on his body. As long as he and Su Muxin are both injured, no matter what the result is, it will be our chance. That brat has a lot of treasures on him, and he even has a spiritual thunder." Zhao Lu sneered. Suddenly, as her voice faded, her eyes flashed with astonishment as she said, "What's going on? That brat seems to have left the imperial prison." "How is that possible? That's the Manchu's heavenly prison. How could that brat have escaped? Could it be Su Muxin's doing?" The handsome man's face immediately revealed a puzzled look. The imperial prison was so powerful that even an ordinary martial domain realm expert would not be able to leave. Although that demon king Du Xiaofu was not weak, it was still hard for the handsome man to believe that he could escape from the imperial prison. "Let's go take a look first. That brat has a lot of treasures on him. We can't miss this opportunity." As Zhao Lu's voice faded, her figure immediately swept across the sky. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The two beautiful women and the handsome man's aura fluctuated as they followed closely behind her. Whoosh, whoosh. Three figures landed outside the heavenly prison that was heavily guarded by talisman arrays. It was Su Muxin, the laughing Rakshasa, Tang Miling, and Ji Jian. "Look, there's no trace at all. That brat is still obediently staying inside." Looking around, the laughing Rakshasa, Tang Miling, said to Su Muxin with a smile, "This was the Hahuan school's heavenly prison. How could that brat have escaped from it? It would be impossible unless he had seen a ghost." Su Muxin's expression turned serious. She waved her long sleeve and the mysterious runes on the imperial prison's heavenly prison burst out. Rumble. The imperial prison's door opened. The secret room of the imperial prison was empty. "What's going on? Impossible. Where's that brat?" The laughing Rakshasa, Tang Miling, was the first to rush into the imperial prison's secret room. She had a surprised look on her face as she scanned the surroundings with her consciousness. There was no aura around. At this moment, there was not even a speck of dust in the secret room that she could see. It was impossible for someone to hide in there. That brat has absorbed Leizuan's lightning energy. Even if he has broken the seal, he can't have escaped far. Chase after him quickly. Su Muxin had a serious look on her face. She immediately left the imperial prison as soon as she finished speaking. The laughing Rakshasa, Tang Miling, was furious. She said, "That brat is too hateful. If he falls into my hands again, I'll definitely teach him a lesson. Damn it." At dusk, a simple and vigorous curve appeared between the mountain range and the sky. The mountain peak in the west emitted a red light. The atmosphere was tranquil. Piffed. Du Xiaofu appeared at the edge of the mountain range. He smiled evilly and said, "I'm afraid I'll be discovered soon. Do you think I'll escape from the Hahuan school first? I'll do the opposite. But first, I'll have to consume the lightning energy in my body. After muttering those words, Du Xiaofu's figure flashed. He immediately dashed into the mountain range in front of him. A moment later, night had fallen. The mountain range was shrouded in darkness. Du Xiaofu's figure appeared and retracted his aura. This was the depths of the Hehuan school. Any aura fluctuation would not be able to escape the prying eyes of the experts. At this moment, Du Xiaofu needed to find a place to absorb the lightning energy that had been devoured by the thunder martial vein in his body. The huge amount of lightning energy in his body caused Du Xiaofu's qi and blood to churn. He also needed to recover from his injuries. However, this also put Du Xiaofu in a difficult position. If he were to find a place to recover and his aura fluctuated, he would not be able to escape the prying eyes of the experts in the Hehuan school. Once he entered the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron, Du Xiaofu was also afraid that the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron would be exposed in the Hehuan school. The consequences would be even more severe. Although he had escaped from the imperial prison, Du Xiaofu still had a bitter smile on his face. He was still in danger. It would not be easy to leave the Hehuan school completely. Not good. How could they catch up with me so quickly? All of a sudden, Du Xiaofu seemed to have sensed something. His expression changed greatly, and a golden light burst out from his back. He activated the golden rock wings at once, and used the carefree steps to rush into the depths of the mountain range. Whoosh whoosh! Just as Du Xiaofu's figure disappeared for a moment, several figures appeared in midair. Several vigorous and powerful auras froze the void. That kid is quite vigilant. There is a forbidden area in front of him. He has no place to escape, and he can't escape. Zhao Lu said. Her figure turned into a flash of lightning and swept across the sky, disappearing in midair in an instant. Walala! In the night sky, a golden light burst out. It was as fast as lightning, like a golden thunderbolt, rapidly streaking across the sky. Kid, you can't escape. There is a forbidden area in front of you. You're just courting death. That kid's speed is really strange. How can he be so fast? In midair, several flowing light characters swept across the sky. They were extremely fast, even faster than the golden thunderbolt. The golden figure flapped its wings. It was Du Xiaofu. His figure swept across the sky like lightning. The golden rock wings swept across the space ripples. Du Xiaofu lifted his head slightly and looked to the front. His expression was extremely puzzled. A purple-colored lightning surged out of his eyes. The lightning martial veins in his body seemed to have sensed something deep within the mountain range in front of him. Even the resplendent yellow lightning in his body, which had originally swallowed the great earth thunder reverend, was fluctuating. What is in front of me? Du Xiaofu was puzzled. At this moment, four auras were chasing him from behind. That voice clearly belonged to Zhao Lu. At this moment, he had no way to retreat. Walala! Gritting his teeth, Du Xiaofu had no way to retreat. He flapped his wings and fled with all his strength. Du Xiaofu knew that if he fell into the hands of the Hehuan school again, he would not have any chance to escape. Suddenly, the lush mountain range in front of him gradually became barren. The surrounding mountains were barren, and there were traces of cracks on the ground. The surrounding space was completely different from the scene in front of him. A faint aura of thunder and lightning filled the space. The aura of thunder and lightning gave Du Xiaofu a very familiar feeling. The closer he got to the front, the more blurred and illusory the space became. The cracks on the ground also became more and more pronounced. It was as if a destructive aura was about to erupt from somewhere. Chapter 1186. Du Xiaofu had no way of shaking off the four top-notch experts. Kid, you can't escape. Surrender, and I'll spare your life. Otherwise, it's a land of death in front of you. You'll definitely die. Zhao Lu's voice came from behind him. She was getting closer and closer. In a moment, he would be within her attack range. Although Zhao Lu had left some hidden energy in his body to help him break through the restrictions left behind by the laughing Rakshasa, Tangmiling, Du Xiaofu definitely wouldn't trust Zhao Lu at this moment. He opened his mouth and said, "If you have the ability, catch me first." This little bastard is pretty fast at escaping. It's not a bad idea to let him die in there. Beside Zhao Lu, The handsome man who was chasing after her said gloomily. His speed was only slightly slower than Zhao Lu's. The other two women were slightly slower. It doesn't matter if he dies, but that kid has many treasures on him. Any one of them is a treasure. It'd be a pity to lose them. Zhao Lu's expression was extremely gloomy. Celestial qi surged under her feet, and a dazzling light burst out in the night sky. She gave chase at full speed. Qi. Finally, the distance between them was getting closer. Zhao Lu's brilliant runes swept out from behind him. Bang! Du Xiaofu used the wave-like carefree steps and dodged it. The energy hit a cracked, barren mountain and destroyed it. Little bastard, if you fall into my hands, I'll make you beg for death, Zhao Lu gloomily said, her complexion gradually becoming more and more unsightly. Qi-la, with a few flaps of his wings, Du Xiaofu exploded with golden light. Just as his thunder martial vein and the yellow lightning energy in his body had a special feeling, a vast space suddenly appeared in front of him. It was a vast plain. A strange aura rippled in the night sky. Although it was called a plain, upon closer inspection, one would realize that it was a terrifying sinkhole. It was as vast as a plain. Everything was yellow. The sinkhole was bottomless under the night sky. It was like a black hole that could swallow everything. It made one's heart palpitate at the sight of it. Above the terrifying sinkhole, there were runes flashing and yellow electric arcs rippling. Whoosh! Suddenly, just as Du Xiaofu was about to cross the deep pit, a huge impact force came from the air like a tsunami, creating huge waves in the air. It brought along a resplendent yellow lightning as it swept over with the force of toppling mountains and overturning seas. Puchi, Du Xiaofu stood up. The rock behind him unfolded, and he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of pale golden blood. Looking ahead, Du Xiaofu saw a patch of dazzling runes and resplendent yellow lightning arcs rushing out of the crater. The yellow lightning arcs and the lightning god art that the Earth Thunder Reverend had comprehended came out at the same time. The runes soared into the sky along with the yellow lightning arcs, connecting the night sky. It was like a waterfall pouring down from the 9 heavens, rippling with a terrifying aura. What a powerful rune array! Du Xiaofu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. In front of him was a huge and terrifying rune array that covered the sinkhole. The rune array's aura seemed to be a sealing rune array, but its aura was much more terrifying than the rune array set up in the Haihuan School Square during the day. It was definitely a 9-star rune array. Whoosh whoosh! Following Du Xiaofu's delay, several figures behind him landed dozens of feet away. Boom! For powerful auras descended one after another, shrouding and sealing the surrounding space. Little bastard, let's see where you can run now. That's a land of death. You'll definitely die if you go in. The handsome man's face was gloomy. His eyes were as deep and vast as the stars, but at this moment, a cold light shot out from his eyes. He was about to attack Du Xiaofu. However, the light in Zhao Lu's eyes slightly changed, and she blocked the handsome man without leaving a trace. Zhao Lu's beautiful figure slowly stepped forward. Her golden mist gown was embroidered with a few rich peonies, and it dragged on the ground, outlining a graceful arc. She was like a young girl. The gloominess on her face disappeared without a trace, as if she was a different person. Her eyes were even more charming. Looking at Du Xiaofu, she said, "Little brother Xiaofu, I think you should know what's going on since you were able to break the seal. Therefore, you should know that I don't have any ill intentions towards you." Du Xiaofu looked at Zhao Lu in front of him, and his figure slowly retreated, gradually approaching the talisman array. Runes rippled around his back, and electric arcs flickered. A terrifying aura was boiling behind him. Once that terrifying aura came into contact with him, the consequences would be worrying. His gaze was fixed on Zhao Lu and the other 3 in front of him. Du Xiaofu did not look behind him, but at this moment, he could feel that the deep pit under the terrifying talisman array seemed to be sealing something, causing the thunder martial vein in his body to fluctuate. Du Xiaofu could also feel that the resplendent yellow lightning energy in his body, which was originally devouring Leizuan's earth, was fluctuating violently at this moment, as if it felt something of the same origin. "If you don't have any ill intentions towards me, why did you chase after me?" Du Xiaofu had no way to retreat. He slightly raised his head and looked at Zhao Lu, who was approaching in front of him. On Zhao Lu's charming face, her eyes twitched slightly, but she did not hide it. Looking at Du Xiaofu, her charm was even more alluring. Her voice was soft and gentle as she said, "Without me, I'm afraid you won't be able to leave the Hahuan school. Believe me, I don't have any ill intentions towards you. I'll send you out of the Hahuan school. Otherwise, Sumu Xin will not let you go." "Why should I believe you?" Du Xiaofu asked in a deep voice, looking ahead. With 4 such experts sealing the space, there was no chance for him to escape. "Because I secretly helped you escape. Otherwise, why would I help you escape?" Zhao Lu looked at Du Xiaofu with a serious face, and with an innocent smile of a young girl, she said, "To tell you the truth, little brother Xiaofu, I've always been at odds with Sumu Xin. I'm the school superintendent of the Hahuan school, and he's the schoolmaster. The Demon King Du Xiaofu's name has shaken Kyushu, and he's the #1 expert of the younger generation in Kyushu. I've always wanted the Hahuan school to be on good terms with little brother Xiaofu, but that Sumu Xin is bent on killing little brother Xiaofu." Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered with a faint golden light as he looked at Zhao Lu and said, "Is what you said true?" "Of course it's true. Elder sister can swear that I'm at odds with that Sumu Xin. Even if it's because the enemy of my enemy is my friend, I'll definitely help little brother Xiaofu escape. As long as little brother Xiaofu remembers elder sister's kindness in the future, it's fine." Zhao Lu's smile was captivating. She slowly approached Du Xiaofu and said, "Moreover, little brother Xiaofu is the #1 expert of the younger generation, and his future is limitless. If my Hahuan school can be on good terms with little brother Xiaofu, we might be able to obtain great benefits in the future." Du Xiaofu nodded at Zhao Lu and said, "All right, I'll believe you for the time being. We should have some trust in each other. Don't you think so, little brother Xiaofu?" Zhao Lu's face was full of smiles, and a trace of joy flashed in her eyes. "Of course, I'm willing to believe you for once." Du Xiaofu earnestly nodded. The instant his voice faded, a purple flame suddenly erupted from his body. The surrounding space was suddenly filled with a terrifying blazing purple flame, and in a flash, it swept towards Zhao Lu like a purple flaming meteorite. Chila! Almost in an instant, Zhao Lu's face suddenly changed. A resplendent rune energy swept out like lightning and directly swept towards Du Xiaofu. Chapter 1187. Rumble. The two energies collided. Purple flames overflowed into the sky as runes shone brightly, engulfing a large mountain range before everything disappeared. Women are indeed unreliable, and old women are even more unreliable. As Du Xiaofu's laughter faded, his body was already wrapped in a dazzling golden light. The 5-finger mountain peak vein spirit shadow covered his body as he directly rushed into the array. Under the eyes of Zhao Lu and the handsome man, Du Xiaofu directly entered the bottomless pit. Swoosh! Zhao Lu's figure swept away the purple flames and rune energies spreading in all directions like lightning as she rushed forward. However, she was already a step too late. Du Xiaofu's figure had already rushed into the array and directly jumped into the heavenly pit and disappeared. "This little bastard is too treacherous." The handsome man rushed forward and looked at Du Xiaofu, who had jumped into the heavenly pit with a gloomy expression. "That brat is dead for sure. It's just a pity that he lost all his treasures." Zhao Lu was filled with hatred. She did not expect that Du Xiaofu would actually turn his back on her. It's good that he's dead. After all, the Qinyang dragon subduing art has disappeared and is no longer a threat to us. The handsome man sneered. "That's all we can do. However, those treasures are all precious treasures. There's also that spirit thunder. I'm afraid that spirit thunder will also be devoured in the end." Zhao Lu was still reluctant to part with the treasures on Du Xiaofu's body. Her heart ached. Those treasures were all precious treasures, and it was difficult to find even one of them. Now that they had fallen into that place, they would most likely be destroyed. Swoosh, swoosh. As Zhao Lu's voice faded, 2 figures landed. Their auras surged. It was Sumu Xin and the laughing Rakshasa, Tang Miling. The 2 of them landed on the ground and looked at the seal array. Looking at Sumu Xin and Tang Miling, Zhao Lu and the handsome man turned their heads and looked at each other. Their expressions changed slightly. Sect Master, shouldn't you explain why Du Xiaofu was able to escape? Zhao Lu looked at Su Muxin with a gloomy expression. That brat has some tricks up his sleeves. He can break the restriction and the talisman formation. You saw it just now. He can directly break the talisman formation and enter the forbidden area. Su Muxin said in a deep voice. She looked at the sinkhole with a strange look in her eyes. You want to shirk responsibility with just a few words? I'm afraid that's impossible. You should know how important the Qianyang subduing dragon art is to our Hahuan school. I don't know if you obtained the Qianyang subduing dragon art, or if you purposely let that brat Du Xiaofu go. In short, as the supervisor, this matter is of great importance. I can't ignore it. Zhao Lu said to Su Muxin. Senior Sister Zhao, aren't you being a little too presumptuous in front of the sect leader? The smiling face of the laughing Rakshasa, Tang Miling, suddenly turned gloomy and fierce. She was also a person who could turn hostile at a moment's notice. Tang Miling's nickname was the Laughing Rakshasa. Everyone in the Shang prefecture knew that she was definitely not someone to be trifled with. Tang Miling, you were the one who set up the restriction on Du Xiaofu. Now that Du Xiaofu has escaped, you can't get away with it. The Qianyang subduing dragon art is of great importance. This time, you'll be punished. Zhao Lu said in a gloomy voice. You? Tang Miling opened her mouth with a fierce expression. She seemed to want to argue, but Su Muxin stopped her. Su Muxin looked at Zhao Lu with an indifferent expression. Her voice was still charming as she said, I'll explain this matter to the elders. Senior Sister Zhao, you don't have to worry about it. That's good. I'll tell the elders. I hope Junior Brother Sect Master can explain it clearly. Otherwise, even if you're the Hahuan School's Sect Master, you'll still be punished. A cold glint flashed across Zhao Lu's eyes. She then signaled with her eyes and left with the handsome man and the two beautiful women. That kid has entered the forbidden area. That's a land of death. No one can subdue the terrifying thing inside, but no one is willing to give it up. Therefore, 2,000 years ago, all the 9-star talisman masters and martial domain realm experts of the Haihuan school worked together to seal it. Over the past 2,000 years, many experts of the Manchu have entered in an attempt to subdue that terrifying thing, but none of them came out. 500 years ago, a 9-star talisman master and a martial domain realm expert of the Haihuan school worked together to enter in an attempt to subdue that terrifying thing. In the end, they never came out. Only a few core people of the Manchu know about this. That's why we were able to escape the prying eyes of the outside world. Now that the kid has entered, I'm afraid he's dead for sure. The laughing Rakshasa, Tang Miling, looked at the vast sinkhole with a grave expression. That kid is an anomaly. If he dares to enter, he must have something up his sleeve. Su Muxin's eyes glowed with a faint purple light in the night sky. How did that little bastard break the seal? He even ignored all the talisman arrays. That's too terrifying. Tang Miling was stunned and puzzled for a long time. To be able to break the seal and ignore all the talisman arrays, such a remarkable ability was simply abnormal. If I'm not wrong, it should have something to do with his mountain pulse spirit, said Su Muxin. Let's ignore that little bastard for now. I'm afraid that Zhao Lu will take this opportunity to cause trouble. The laughing Rakshasa, Tang Miling, looked at Su Muxin with a grave expression. Su Muxin looked up slightly, her eyes glowing as she said softly, their purpose shouldn't be as simple as just causing trouble. This time, I'm afraid they've already made preparations. I just don't know how many people they've secretly gathered. Du Xiaofu jumped into the sinkhole with the mountain pulse spirit wrapped around him. After breaking through the talisman arrays, the mountain pulse spirit lost its effect. The air was filled with a destructive aura of thunder and lightning. The sinkhole was bottomless, as deep as a black hole. Du Xiaofu put away the mountain pulse spirit in his body and slowly descended. The vast sinkhole seemed to lead to the netherworld, and it was completely different from the one above. Several hundred meters below the ground, it was already quiet. There was no sound in the surroundings, and no aura could be sensed. In the end, there was fog lingering in the vast and deep space. The fog gushing out from the depths of the earth covered the space. It was vast and boundless, and one's vision was dim. No one knew how vast this space was. In the fog, a floating stone strangely appeared in the clouds, as if something was holding it up. Du Xiaofu landed, and the floating stone was as steady as a rock. Du Xiaofu looked around and probed with his mind. At this moment, the thunder martial vein seemed to have sensed something, but it had disappeared. This is the forbidden area of Haihuan School. No one should be able to enter. Du Xiaofu looked around. This was the forbidden area of Haihuan School. The aura was strange, and it was probably not a good place. Let's heal first. Sitting cross-legged, Du Xiaofu immediately began to breathe. The injuries on his body and the thunder and lightning energy that he had devoured needed to be dealt with. Only then could he deal with everything. As for the other problems, he would have to wait until he recovered before he could consider them. Walala! A moment later, Du Xiaofu's body was enveloped in a circle of golden light, and there was a faint, bright yellow lightning flashing on his body. Time passed slowly. The next day, the news that the Demon King Du Xiaofu had escaped spread out in Haihuan School. Immediately, the entire Haihuan School was in an uproar. That Demon King is too terrifying. He can actually escape from the heaven-level prison. It is said that even the legendary martial domain realm experts can be imprisoned in that prison. I really don't know how that Demon King cultivates. He's the same age as us, but he's so terrifying. I don't know where that Demon King has escaped to. He won't attack us when the time comes, right? Other than the Supreme Elders, the Sect Master, and the Sect Supervisor, no one is a match for that Demon King. In Haihuan School, the disciples discussed animatedly, and rumors spread everywhere. As for the elders of the All-Pleasure Sect, they did not show themselves. The atmosphere of the entire Haihuan School became tense for no reason, as if a storm was about to come. A few days later, on the floating stone in the vast space, the golden light enveloping Du Xiaofu's body became more and more resplendent. It emitted a domineering aura that spread out in the vast space. Chapter 1188. Amidst the faint golden halo, Du Xiaofu's body was still shrouded in bright yellow lightning arcs. At this moment, the bright yellow lightning arcs were unable to cause any substantial damage to Du Xiaofu's body, which had already been tempered by the purple-gold profound lightning from the purple lightning profound cauldron. Furthermore, Du Xiaofu still had the thunder martial vein in his body. As it absorbed the bright yellow lightning arcs, it was faintly strengthening. The strengthening of the thunder martial vein was far less effective than the previous time when he swallowed the silver net soul devouring lightning. However, Du Xiaofu could clearly feel that his thunder martial vein was actually strengthening. Qi La, at some point in time, yellow lightning arcs seeped out from the vast void. The yellow lightning arcs lit up the entire space, allowing people to see clearly that they were surrounded by a vast sea of underground clouds. In the center of the sea of clouds, there was a huge hole. It was bottomless, but it was not pitch black. Instead, it was filled with yellow light. The yellow lightning arcs rippled with a kind of heaviness and destruction, just like the earth. More and more yellow lightning arcs appeared, covering the entire vast space. The overflowing lightning arcs lit up the space brighter and brighter. Traces of destructive ripples spread out violently. On the floating rock, Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged, enveloped by the golden halo. Du Xiaofu's eyes were tightly shut. Although he was doing breathing exercises to heal his injuries, his mind was the most clear at this moment. It spread out in all directions, and even the slightest ripples could not escape his senses. Chi. Suddenly, Du Xiaofu seemed to have felt something. In a short moment, his eyes suddenly opened. Two rays of golden light shot out, as if they had materialized. They shot out directly into the vast sea of clouds, and his figure disappeared from the floating rock. Bang! As Du Xiaofu's figure disappeared from where he was, the rock that he had just sat on was immediately struck by a resplendent arc of lightning. It shattered into pieces, and the surrounding space was blown to smithereens. Above the clouds, Du Xiaofu's body was wrapped in golden light. Golden light shot out from his eyes as he looked at the deep hole covered by the clouds. The yellow lightning arcs were everywhere, but the materialized lightning arcs just now had shot out from the deep hole. What a familiar aura! Du Xiaofu thought to himself as he looked at the deep hole. There was a faint crackling sound of thunder. The sound was like a tide, and it made Du Xiaofu frown. When the sound came, Du Xiaofu's thunder martial vein was. He could clearly feel his thunder martial vein was being affected by something. At this moment, even the silver net soul devouring lightning and Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit in the Naiwen Palace in his mind began to fluctuate. Outside his Naiwen Palace, the 3,000 jolting thunder soul seed left behind by Du Xiaofu's master, the weapon revered Xiahou Fenglei, miraculously began to fluctuate. This doesn't seem normal. Du Xiaofu's frown deepened. He could clearly feel an extremely powerful energy fluctuating in the deep hole. That violent and destructive energy was able to affect Du Xiaofu's thunder martial vein and silver net soul devouring lightning. It was clearly related to thunder and lightning. To be able to possess such lightning energy that even Du Xiaofu was shocked by, it was not very likely that it was. Could it be? Suddenly, Du Xiaofu's eyes trembled violently. He couldn't help but exclaim, could it be that there is a spirit thunder sealed by the Haohuan school symbol array? Roar. Just as Du Xiaofu's voice fell, the faint roar of a beast could be heard from the deep hole. The roar of the beast was extremely soft, as if it came from the depths of the ground. However, the soft sound was like a sudden clap of thunder when it entered one's ears. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was certain that the thing trapped by the Haohuan school symbol array in the deep hole was definitely a terrifying thing. Even the experts of the Haohuan school were unable to do anything about it. Therefore, they could only trap it here. It was very likely that it was a powerful spirit thunder. Roar. At the same time, the roar of the beast could be heard again. At this moment, the roar was becoming more and more violent. It was as if a terrifying thing was about to rush out from the deep hole. Du Xiaofu floated in the air. He was enveloped in golden light. The golden rock wings on his back were activated in case of an emergency. His expression was solemn. Walala, as the roar of the beast resounded again, the overflowing yellow lightning arcs in the vast sea of clouds became even more resplendent. In a short period of time, the entire space began to ripple with a violent and majestic destructive energy. The yellow lightning arcs in the surroundings whistled and mixed with the fluctuations of the sea of clouds. It was as if waves were rolling up. That destructive power seemed to want to destroy this space as well. Spirit thunder. This is a spirit thunder. This place is trapping a spirit thunder. Du Xiaofu was finally certain. His face immediately turned ashen. That familiar energy fluctuation, through the lightning martial vein and the silver gauze soul devouring lightning in his body, allowed Du Xiaofu to be certain that this place was trapping a spirit thunder. Moreover, it was an absolutely powerful spirit thunder. This is not good. Du Xiaofu took a deep breath and clenched his fists. If he went out, he was afraid that the experts of the Haohuan school would be waiting for him. However, he was afraid that he would have to face a powerful spirit thunder. Du Xiaofu knew that this was a desperate situation. Sizzle. In the vast sea of clouds, the yellow lightning arcs became more and more resplendent and surged violently. Waves of violent and destructive energy filled the air. Roar. Suddenly, the bright yellow lightning arcs rushed out from the deep hole in the space. As the yellow lightning arcs splashed into the sky, the roar of a beast was heard. Suddenly, a lightning-type exotic beast whose entire body was covered in bright and transparent yellow electric arcs and whose head was like a python's appeared in front of Du Xiaofu's astonished eyes in a terrifying manner, bringing with it a sky full of bright yellow electric arcs and the destructive lightning energy that shook the space around it. The exotic beast rushed out. It was so huge that it seemed to have been imprisoned for countless years. It raised its head like a giant dragon and soared into the sky. A terrifying sound wave of the beast's roar spread out from its ferocious mouth like a thunderclap. Roar. The sound wave of the exotic beast's roar was enough to shatter the vital spirit of a martial venerable expert above the transcendent level. Rumble. The roar made the vast sea of lightning arcs and clouds around them seem to have been suddenly thrown into countless bombs. The sound of thunder resounded continuously in the space. Lightning arcs overflowed and dazzling lightning runes surged wildly. As the exotic beast rushed out, Du Xiaofu saw that it was actually a giant tortoise. When its head rushed out, it looked like a giant python or a giant dragon. The giant yellow lightning tortoise was thousands of feet in size and covered the entire space. The giant lightning tortoise rushed out. Its eyes, which were filled with yellow lightning arcs, stared at Du Xiaofu with a destructive aura. Being stared at by the giant lightning tortoise, Du Xiaofu couldn't help sweating all over. When the tortoise stared at him with its ferocious eyes, Du Xiaofu felt as if two giant lightning black holes had descended and shrouded him. It was as if his entire body had been scanned from the inside out, making it difficult for him to hide anything. You actually have two types of spirit lightning in your body. The heavens are really helping me. Once I devour those two types of spirit lightning, the symbol array will no longer be able to trap me. Once I break free, I will definitely destroy the Hahuan school to make up for the hatred of being trapped. The giant yellow lightning tortoise spoke in human language. Its voice was like a thunderclap. Its ferocious eyes stared fiercely at Du Xiaofu. There was only madness and destruction in its eyes. When the giant tortoise's voice faded, an extremely violent energy fluctuation spread out from its huge body. Qi, the giant lightning tortoise's ferocious head, which was like a giant python flying dragon, directly charged at Du Xiaofu. It wanted to devour Du Xiaofu. When the terrifying energy rushed over, it immediately froze the surrounding space. Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit also felt a chill. At this moment, he couldn't escape even if he wanted to. Tyrannical Sword Path. Without any hesitation, Du Xiaofu directly summoned the purple gold heavenly tower. He activated the tyrannical sword path and slashed out with all his strength. Chapter 1189. Qi, the sword aura tore through the air and instantly collided with the lightning tortoise's head. The lightning tortoise was not afraid at all. It directly spat out a dazzling bolt of lightning from its mouth, destroying Du Xiaofu's sword aura. The lightning tortoise's ferocious head was faster than lightning. It instantly covered a large area of the void. Like a python pouncing on its prey, it bit down on the space around Du Xiaofu. Not good. Du Xiaofu was shocked. This lightning tortoise was much more terrifying than he had imagined. Qi, the purple gold heavenly tower in his hand, turned into a purple gold ribbon and flew out with all his might. The golden rock wings on his back flapped with all their might. Du Xiaofu activated the rock descends to the 9 heavens, carrying the domineering will of the golden-winged rock race, and broke free from the spatial restraints brought by the lightning tortoise. Roar. At the same time, Du Xiaofu let out a roar that sounded like a dragon roaring to the 9 heavens and a divine elephant trumpeting. It was as if heavenly thunder had exploded in the space, and a loud bang reverberated in the mouth of the lightning tortoise. Waves of sound waves spread out like waves of air, shaking the space and distorting it intensely. Qi, using the force of the sound waves to push back, Du Xiaofu instantly retreated with lightning speed with the help of the sound waves. This roar was like a dragon roaring to the 9 heavens and a divine elephant trumpeting. It contained the power to move mountains and overturn seas. It was enough to make mountains collapse and the earth crack, destroying everything. It was Du Xiaofu's domineering way that contained a domineering martial intent. The sound waves swept out, creating a strange sound of wind and thunder. It was like the rumbling of heavenly thunder, and it also shattered the space in the giant tortoise's mouth. A large area of yellow lightning arcs was also destroyed by the sound waves. Qi, everything happened in the blink of an eye. Du Xiaofu's figure immediately broke free from the giant lightning tortoise's ferocious mouth before it completely closed. Purple gold heavenly tower, domineering sword path, rock descends to the 9 heavens, domineering fist path. After using all the trump cards he could use, Du Xiaofu only barely escaped. It was clear how terrifying the lightning tortoise was. PFFF. Although he managed to escape, the heavenly palace of purple gold had already been devoured. When Du Xiaofu tried to control the heavenly palace of purple gold with his mind, he discovered that the heavenly palace of purple gold had already been enveloped by the giant lightning tortoise. A terrifying destructive force of lightning swept over his mind, causing Du Xiaofu's mind to almost sever its connection with the heavenly palace of purple gold. Faint golden blood immediately flowed out of his mouth. "We've gone too far this time." Du Xiaofu's expression was grave. That resplendent yellow lightning tortoise was too terrifying. It was many times stronger than the silver sieve soul devouring lightning. Roar! After the giant lightning tortoise turned its ferocious head around, it let out a thunderous roar as it did not directly devour the human in front of it. Its eyes were filled with an ominous glint as it stared fixedly at Du Xiaofu with an expression of absolute greed. He looked like a venomous snake pouncing on its prey, waiting for another effective strike. "This spiritual lightning wants to devour me." Du Xiaofu's face was gloomy. The greedy look in the lightning tortoise's eyes clearly indicated that it wanted to devour him directly. It wanted the 3,000 vibrating lightning soul seed and the silver sieve soul devouring lightning in his body. With the silver sieve soul devouring lightning in his body, Du Xiaofu's understanding of spiritual lightning had increased by a lot. Spiritual lightning was a kind of foreign object in this world that was born between heaven and earth. It was a foreign object in this world that was extremely rare. All spiritual lightning might have different abilities and characteristics, but they all had one thing in common, and that was that any kind of spiritual lightning possessed a terrifying power. This was something that Du Xiaofu could clearly understand from the silver sieve soul devouring lightning and his master's 3,000 vibrating lightning. As a foreign object in this world, spiritual lightning knew to devour the energy it needed to strengthen itself, even if it had not been born for long and had yet to gain intelligence. Devouring other types of spiritual lightning was even more beneficial. If one type of spiritual lightning could devour another type of spiritual lightning, it would undergo a qualitative change. It would possess the abilities of the two types of spiritual lightning, and its strength would increase tremendously. Du Xiaofu looked at the lightning tortoise in front of him. It was formed by spiritual lightning. At this moment, this spiritual lightning was clearly targeting the two types of spiritual lightning in his body, making him its prey. However, he was afraid that he would not be able to escape. Du Xiaofu's golden wings slowly flapped behind him as he retreated. He wanted to find a chance to escape. At the very least, he had to get as far away as possible. Otherwise, once the lightning tortoise attacked again, he was afraid that he would not have the chance to escape. Just as Du Xiaofu's figure was about to retreat, the huge lightning tortoise had already sensed it. It immediately lifted its head and yellow lightning exploded from its huge body. The head, which was like a giant python flying dragon, rushed towards Du Xiaofu again. Du Xiaofu looked at the lightning tortoise that launched another attack. A terrifying sense of oppression had already solidified the vast void. A destructive and majestic energy rushed towards him, causing his soul to tremble. Roar! The yellow lightning tortoise roared, and the sound waves distorted the space. The destructive lightning energy first penetrated the space and enveloped Du Xiaofu. Boom! Du Xiaofu moved. A silver-white arc of lightning burst out from between his eyebrows in an instant. A silver lightning arc immediately overflowed in all directions. The silver lightning arc soared into the sky and instantly turned into a silver-white lightning tree that was more than 100 feet tall. The silver-white lightning tree was condensed from silver lightning, causing the surrounding sea of yellow lightning arcs to be separated into a sea of silver lightning. A terrifying pressure descended. Silver lightning fluctuated, and the aura was terrifying. In an instant, under a shocking explosion of heavenly thunder, the huge silver lightning tree and the ferocious head of the huge lightning tortoise violently collided. Immediately, the rumbling sound of heavenly thunder resounded endlessly in this vast space. Rumble, the thunder resounded, and the space exploded. The sky was filled with yellow and silver lightning arcs. The terrifying energy surged in the vast sky, and there was only destruction. However, the silver lightning tree began to crumble. It could not withstand the destructive and violent yellow lightning. Roar! In such a terrifying collision, the huge lightning tortoise's ferocious head was not affected much. Looking at the silver lightning, the lightning tortoise's eyes became even more ferocious and greedy. It rushed out again and pounced towards Du Xiaofu. Evil creature! Du Xiaofu cursed loudly, but he was complaining in his heart. His golden eyes were suddenly suffused with a kind of purple thunder light. He condensed a hand seal, and his whole body was immediately covered with a purple thunder light talisman pattern. Suddenly, with Du Xiaofu's body as the center, purple lightning appeared in the void and instantly covered the entire sky. Boom! A large amount of purple lightning gathered, and in an instant, the vast space trembled violently. As if it felt something, the lightning tortoise that was rushing out suddenly paused. Its ferocious eyes looked around, as if it was searching for something. Boom! Du Xiaofu activated the lightning martial vein in his body, and purple lightning arcs spread out from the surface of his body. Lightning swept across the sky like a rainstorm, and purple-silver snakes flashed in the void. A murderous aura spread out. It was not austere, but it showed the majesty of creation and the righteousness of heaven and earth. This purple lightning was as strong as yang, and it could sweep across the sky and punish all living things. At this moment, the lightning tortoise's eyes locked onto Du Xiaofu's body, and it trembled slightly. However, in the next moment, a huge yellow lightning bolt violently spewed out from the lightning tortoise's ferocious mouth and swept towards Du Xiaofu. Dazzling yellow lightning energy ribbons streaked across the space like a golden lightning bolt. The traces of space were automatically separated. In Du Xiaofu's palm, purple gold lightning gathered, and with an even more terrifying pressure, collided violently. In an instant, the two lightning bolts collided, and the lightning energy exploded like a bright firework, bursting into the sky. Rumble, dazzling yellow lightning, and purplish gold lightning filled the air. This kind of collision caused thunderous explosions to resound in the air. Du Xiaofu activated the purple gold lightning energy, and the pressure was obviously stronger. However, in terms of aura, Du Xiaofu's lightning martial vein was forcibly suppressed and destroyed by the yellow lightning. Sizzle, Du Xiaofu's body was directly pushed back, and the collision of energy caused him to spit out a mouthful of pale golden blood. Chapter 1190. Roar, however, before he could stabilize his body, the ferocious head of the large yellow lightning tortoise suddenly appeared in the sky. Chila, an even more resplendent and destructive yellow lightning energy erupted from Du Xiaofu's body from the mouth of the giant lightning tortoise. Your body is very strange. I feel that it is even more beneficial to me than the two spirit lightnings. The heavens are really helping me. The giant lightning tortoise roared. The resplendent and destructive yellow lightning had already arrived in front of Du Xiaofu in an instant. Do you really think that I am easy to devour? Du Xiaofu was also enraged. As he roared, although his body had not stabilized, a purple gold flowing light had already shot out from his palm. In an instant, it transformed into a huge, three-legged cauldron that covered the vast space. Boom! In an instant, the lightning space violently trembled as purple gold thunderclouds gathered out of thin air. As lightning flashed and thunder roared, a large patch of purple gold lightning hovered in the sky with an aura of destruction. Chi-la-la, large patches of purple gold lightning wreaked havoc, as if countless bombs had exploded in the void of this deep pit. At this moment, Du Xiaofu had no other choice but to activate his final trump card, the Purple Lightning Profound Cauldron. The purple gold profound lightning was like the king of lightning. The pressure that emanated from the purple gold profound lightning was not something that ordinary spirit lightnings could compare to. In an instant, the purple gold profound lightning surged out from the purple lightning profound cauldron, transforming into a huge purple gold lightning vortex that directly swallowed the yellow lightning that was rushing towards Du Xiaofu. The resplendent yellow lightning was very powerful and violent. At this moment, even Du Xiaofu, who had activated his lightning martial vein, could not suppress it. However, at this moment, the resplendent yellow lightning energy was directly absorbed into the purple gold profound lightning vortex below the purple lightning profound cauldron. This did not mean that Du Xiaofu's lightning martial vein was inferior to the purple lightning profound cauldron. Instead, it was because Du Xiaofu's strength was not enough. The power of the lightning martial vein was far from the level that it should be. Of course, with Du Xiaofu's current strength, The power of the purple lightning profound cauldron could not reach the level that it should be. However, the purple lightning profound cauldron was able to directly absorb the yellow lightning energy. With the help of the purple lightning profound cauldron, the lightning, and profound lightning profound purple lightning could directly devour the yellow lightning. At this moment, the giant lightning tortoise seemed to have sensed something as well. Its ferocious eyes rippled, and its huge body rippled violently, causing bright yellow lightning to overflow in all directions in this vast space. Lightning runes rippled in the air, as if they had turned into a resplendent yellow lightning pool. Keep. Seeing that the purple lightning profound cauldron had already taken effect, Du Xiaofu fully activated the purple lightning profound cauldron. The purple gold lightning vortex was like a terrifying purple gold black hole, swallowing and spitting out a huge suction force that directly pulled the yellow lightning into the purple lightning profound cauldron. Walala! The resplendent yellow lightning pool seemed to be pulled by some invisible force and uncontrollably rushed towards the purple lightning profound cauldron. The violent and destructive yellow lightning disappeared the moment it came into contact with the purple gold profound lightning vortex. It immediately disappeared into the purple lightning profound cauldron. Rumble. The void trembled violently. It was so deafening that it caused pain in one's eardrums and made one's mind dizzy. Countless yellow lightning bolts flashed. The huge yellow lightning bolts danced wildly and rushed towards the purple lightning profound cauldron. At this moment, the purple lightning profound cauldron was like a bottomless pit. It pulled the yellow lightning in and did not move at all. What is that? This change caused the giant lightning tortoise's eyes to be filled with fear. The huge lightning tortoise's body moved horizontally and exploded with huge yellow lightning bolts that covered the sky. It was like a heavenly thunder erupting, pressing towards the purple lightning profound cauldron. Devour! Du Xiaofu shouted and poured all the profound qi in his body into the purple lightning profound cauldron. Du Xiaofu fully activated the purple lightning profound cauldron. It was like countless purple gold spiritual snakes were shuttling through the void. The purple gold profound lightning vortex continued to devour the violent yellow lightning energy. Rumble. The purple gold lightning vortex in the purple lightning profound cauldron devoured the violent yellow lightning. Large amounts of purple gold lightning spread out from the vortex and a rumbling sound reverberated in the air. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was not feeling well either. Blood kept flowing out of his mouth. The purple lightning profound cauldron exploded and absorbed all the profound qi in his god's watchtower. This consumption was huge. Du Xiaofu had already used up a lot of profound qi. Originally, Du Xiaofu's injuries had not fully recovered, and he could not hold on for a while. The lightning tortoise was too strong. The purple gold profound lightning under the purple lightning profound cauldron was unable to support Du Xiaofu's profound qi, and its power had decreased significantly. Puny human, it turns out that you are not strong enough. The lightning tortoise felt this change. Its fierce eyes shot out lightning and yellow lightning bolts across the sky. It was as if countless bombs had exploded. The destructive power kept attacking the purple lightning profound cauldron. Go all out and give it your all. Du Xiaofu gritted his teeth. He took out a large amount of spiritual herbs and heavenly treasures from his cosmos bag and stuffed them into his mouth. After swallowing the large amount of heavenly treasures and spiritual herbs, Du Xiaofu used the golden winged rock technique to refine them and turn them into profound qi to support the purple lightning profound cauldron. Outside, the lightning tortoise was suppressing him. Inside, the heavenly treasures and spiritual herbs had turned into energy surging. Du Xiaofu did not feel good. If it was an ordinary transcendent martial venerable, he would have been played to death by him. However, Du Xiaofu had already given it his all, but it was still difficult for him to resist the lightning tortoise. Pooh! The earth-shattering yellow lightning bolts pressed down and shattered the void, causing the purple lightning profound cauldron and Du Xiaofu to be pushed back. There are many treasures, but they are still too weak. After I devour you and obtain this treasure, no one in this world will be able to do anything to me. The lightning tortoise roared loudly and thunder pressed down on the sky. It could feel that the three-legged cauldron was also a treasure. The aura on the human's body and the two spiritual thunders seemed to have been prepared for it. Once it obtained it, no one in this world would be able to do anything to it. Du Xiaofu waved his sleeve and wiped the blood from his mouth. The lightning martial veins on his body were attracted by the yellow lightning and were about to erupt. Humph! At this moment, Du Xiaofu let out a deep snort and suddenly made a shocking decision. He clenched his teeth slightly, and his body directly soared into the sky and collided with the giant lightning tortoise, allowing himself to be immersed in the monstrous and resplendent yellow lightning. Rumble! Yellow lightning swept up, exploding with the sound of thunder. Under that terrifying force, Du Xiaofu could not help but spit out a mouthful of pale golden blood. The pale golden blood immediately turned into smoke in the lightning, and his body was about to explode into ashes in an instant. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu's lightning martial veins seemed to have been provoked. An even more punishing pressure swept out. The lightning martial veins contained the supreme power of lightning that could not be provoked. In an instant, it devoured the yellow lightning into its body. The purple thunder profound cauldron seemed to have sensed that Du Xiaofu's qi had been exhausted. It began to break away from Du Xiaofu's control and began to devour the yellow lightning on its own. Du Xiaofu's lightning martial veins were also provoked. The most majestic and domineering killing pressure surged in the sky. The ancient pressure spread out from Du Xiaofu's body. The soul-shaking aura was still spreading in the vast space far away. At this moment, the two types of lightning energy collided. Du Xiaofu's clothes were directly destroyed, and he began to be naked. However, his body was wrapped in the bright purple lightning and yellow lightning. He was wrapped in dazzling lightning runes and gradually became a huge lightning ball in the void. At this moment, under the devouring of Du Xiaofu's lightning martial veins and purple thunder profound cauldron, the bright lightning on the lightning giant tortoise's body was finally devoured to a terrifying extent. Fear appeared in the lightning giant tortoise's fierce eyes again. Unknowingly, the lightning giant tortoise found that it had fallen into a situation where it could not escape. What a strange human! How can this be? At that moment, the lightning tortoise seemed to have sensed something. Its gigantic tortoise body began to crumble, and bolts of yellow lightning were devoured uncontrollably. They landed in the three-legged cauldron and the strange human's body. Sizzle! The lightning giant tortoise became smaller and smaller as yellow lightning burst out. However, it could not stop the strange human and the three-legged cauldron from devouring it. Impossible! How can this human suppress me with such little strength? The lightning giant tortoise roared and released a terrifying energy. It wanted to forcefully destroy this space. At this moment, even if there were experts at the peak of the Nirvana realm, once they touched this terrifying destructive lightning, they would be directly destroyed. However, the lightning giant tortoise was unable to break free from the double suppression of the purple thunder profound cauldron and Du Xiaofu's lightning martial veins. The lightning giant tortoise was suppressed by the purple thunder profound cauldron. The purple gold profound cauldron erupted and devoured it crazily. Bang, bang, bang. The lightning giant tortoise began to collapse and the bright yellow lightning in the vast space around it had been devoured. Human, do you want to devour me? Even the martial domain realm is not enough. You are courting death. Suddenly, an exceptionally bright yellow lightning flashed out of the shattered lightning tortoise's body. It actually broke free from the purple gold profound bomb's binding and devouring. With an incomparably terrifying speed, it directly appeared in the bright lightning ball that surrounded Du Xiaofu's body. Swoosh! The brightest yellow lightning burst out with the most destructive and violent aura. After it entered the lightning ball, it broke free from the binding of Du Xiaofu's lightning martial veins and went straight into Du Xiaofu's glabella. At this moment, the bright yellow lightning entered Du Xiaofu's glabella. Qila, a monstrous aura that could destroy one's primordial spirit, swept out in Du Xiaofu's mind and attacked Du Xiaofu's entire body. A thunderous roar resounded in Du Xiaofu's mind. Puny human, you are courting death. I will destroy your primordial spirit, and I will be you. Everything will be mine. Walala! Suddenly, the Niwen palace in Du Xiaofu's mind seemed to have sensed this wild and violent destructive energy. A dazzling symbol rune flickered as it emitted an ancient and mysterious aura. In an instant, it transformed into waves of frightening energy that directly covered the resplendent yellow lightning. Roar! The bright yellow lightning burst out and turned into a ferocious lightning tortoise's head. It wanted to break free from the talisman rune's cover. Boom! The dazzling talisman rune emitted a bright divine light and a supreme aura spread. It wanted to suppress the world and destroy everything that came in from the outside. Roar! The lightning tortoise roared and released a terrifying aura to resist the cover of the dazzling talisman rune. The two of them were in a deadlock. Chapter 1191. The lightning turtle was the soul seed of the yellow lightning spirit lightning, and the dazzling talisman was the spirit root that existed in Du Xiaofu's mind. Du Xiaofu still remembered that the last time the silvernet soul-devouring lightning spirit root entered his mind, it was immediately suppressed and eventually destroyed by the spirit root. However, it was different this time. This spirit lightning spirit root was far more powerful than the silvernet soul-devouring lightning spirit root. The spirit root could temporarily suppress it, but in the end, it could only remain in a stalemate and could not destroy the spirit lightning spirit root. Exhausted, his body was extremely weak. The terrifying destructive power of the lightning was still attacking his body, making Du Xiaofu suffer unspeakably. While the spirit root and the lightning turtle in Du Xiaofu's Niwen Palace were in a stalemate, the lightning and thunder in the vast sealed space gradually disappeared. The shocking destructive aura dissipated, and everything seemed to have returned to its original state. Even in this vast underground space, the purple thunder profound cauldron had calmed down after swallowing the yellow lightning in this space. Then, the purple thunder profound cauldron floated beside Du Xiaofu without releasing any aura. Could it be that the terrifying thing is unwilling to give up and wants to break through the talisman array again? Outside the deep pit, the terrifying commotion also shook the talisman array outside, attracting several hidden auras to spy on it. I heard them say that the demon king, Du Xiaofu, escaped into the talisman array by himself. It's probably destroyed by the terrifying thing. It's a pity that the Qianyang subduing dragon technique is not real. Another voice was transmitted over and quietly landed. However, the voice did not spread and could only be heard by the few people who had arrived with concealed auras. That terrifying thing has become more and more violent recently. I don't know how long this talisman array can trap it. It's getting stronger and stronger, and it's getting more and more impossible to merge with it. Someone sighed. It's no longer a question of whether or not we can merge with it. That terrifying thing has been trapped for 2,000 years, and its heart is filled with hatred. Once it escapes, it will definitely go on a killing spree. I'm afraid our Haohuan school will be destroyed. Someone's voice was low and worried. The space in the deep pit returned to normal and became abnormally quiet. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu, who was floating in the sea of clouds in the deep pit, was not calm. His body was wrapped in purple gold lightning and filled with yellow electric arcs. As the aura on his body became weaker and weaker, the spirit root in Du Xiaofu's mind flew out on its own. However, its aura also became weaker and weaker. This spirit root was not under Du Xiaofu's control at all. Pain. His primordial spirit was in intense pain. His body was also in intense pain that went deep into his bones. The aura of the spirit root grew weaker and weaker, and in the midst of the stalemate between the lightning tortoise and the lightning tortoise, it was on the verge of dissipating, and its radiance had also dimmed. Yellow lightning arcs began to break through the restraint of the spirit root and gradually struck Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. Although Du Xiaofu's Yuan spirit was blocked by the silvernet soul devouring lightning, the intense pain in his Yuan spirit was unbearable for Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu gradually fainted and lost consciousness. In Shangzhou, the news of Du Xiaofu causing trouble in the Haohuan school gradually spread. Du Xiaofu caused trouble in the Haohuan school in front of tens of thousands of Haohuan school students. The Haohuan school could not hide it even if they wanted to. Among the tens of thousands of Haohuan school students, there might be spies from other forces. The leader of the 12 godly heroes, the number one of the younger generation in Kyushu, appeared in the Haohuan school. He caused a huge commotion in the Hahuan school and was trapped in the Hahuan school in the end. When this news spread, it immediately shocked everyone. Somewhere in Shangzhou, the mountains stood tall and straight. The four seasons were bright, as if they could set an example for all eternity and enlighten all living things. The mountains were full of green and green. The brown cliffs were like sharp swords that pointed to the sky. The most eye-catching thing was a tall mountain that pierced through the clouds. It stood among the mountains like a peerless divine sword that had fallen to the mortal world. It was surrounded by clouds and mist. At the foot of the mountain, tall red maple trees stood tall. They had luxuriant branches and leaves, as if they were covered with red clouds. In the morning, the mountains were as black as iron. As the red sun rose, the tall mountain that looked like a peerless divine sword turned inky blue. Soon after, mist arose. The red maple trees that covered the entire mountain were dyed crimson by the multicolored light. Gradually, they turned into a bronze color, appearing exceptionally magnificent. I have already acknowledged the Demon King, Du Xiaofu, as the leader of the 12 godly heroes in the Tianhuang continent. This matter has something to do with me. I have to go to the Hahuan school. On the mountain peak, a man walked out of the sky. He was 25 or 26 years old. His body was filled with simple and elegant runes that were like mist. He was extraordinarily handsome, and his robes were embroidered with sword patterns. That Demon King, Du Xiaofu, is currently being searched for by the devil religion. The dragons and that hidden family will probably not let him go either. Right now, Shangzhou is in troubled times. Evil spirits are breeding. If we are not careful, we may bring a great calamity to our Saman sword sect. A middle-aged man who seemed to be over 50 years old, but still looked rather young, said to the extraordinary youth. He wore a long robe with sword patterns. His eyes seemed to flash with sword light that was sharp and fierce. On Tianhuang continent, he does not fear the hidden family, the dragons, or the devil religion. If I fear him now, I probably will not have the qualifications to chase after him in the future, let alone surpass him. The extraordinary youth turned his head and looked at the middle-aged man, saying, "Father, the Saman sword sect will be in my hands in the future. If I fear the slightest thing, how will I lead the Saman sword sect in the future?" The middle-aged man stared at the extraordinary young man. A moment later, he spoke, "Go on. You will become the kind of person you are with. Devil King Du Xiaofu, that brat, seems to be pretty good. For people like him, if anyone lent him a helping hand when he was in trouble, he would always remember it in his heart. When he rises up in the 9 prefectures one day, he would never forget you." The middle-aged man paused for a moment. He looked at the extraordinary youth and continued to ask, "But I want to know, do you see him as a friend or an opponent?" The extraordinary youth raised his eyes slightly and looked at the rising sun. He stood with his hands behind his back and said, "He is a friend and half an opponent. Although we have not interacted much, he is worthy of my pursuit." "You have grown up." The middle-aged man smiled and looked at the extraordinary youth. He patted his shoulder lightly and said, "Remember, when you go to the Hahuan school, you will represent the Saman sword sect. After this matter, the election of the alliance leader of the Purifying Evil Alliance in Shangzhou will be a competition between the younger generation. It is also your responsibility. Don't worry. I, Mu Jianchen, will definitely be the alliance leader of the Purifying Evil Alliance." The extraordinary young man smiled. The sharp look in his eyes revealed a strong sense of self-confidence. When Du Xiaofu woke up and opened his eyes, he found himself in a sea of resplendent yellow lightning. The surroundings were like a sea of yellow lightning that flowed with destructive energy. Du Xiaofu looked around in the resplendent and slow lightning arcs. Only then did he realize that his body was still wrapped by the thunder martial vein. The thunder martial vein was resisting the destruction of the yellow lightning around him. There were a few Qingkuan bags beside him that were enveloped by the thunder martial vein, which prevented them from being destroyed. Purple gold heavenly palace. Not far away, Du Xiaofu saw that the purple gold heavenly palace, which had been engulfed by the spiritual thunder, was now bound in the sea of lightning. At this moment, the purple gold heavenly palace was surrounded by the shadows of the soaring dragon, the leaping tiger, the coiling turtle, and the flying phoenix, which were resisting the destruction of the resplendent yellow lightning arcs. This should be the lair of the spiritual thunder. It didn't take long for Du Xiaofu to understand. It seemed that he had been brought to the lair of the spiritual thunder. With a sharp pain in his mind, Du Xiaofu then peeped into his mind. He was surprised to find that the 3,000 jolting thunder soul seed left by his master, the venerable equipment master, had turned into a sea of flaming lightning that directly burned and bound the thunder turtle, resisting the impact of the thunder turtle. It was not difficult for Du Xiaofu to know that the aura of the thunder turtle was endless, but the 3,000 jolting thunder soul seed was being consumed. He didn't know how long the 3,000 jolting thunder soul seed had lasted, but Du Xiaofu felt that it wouldn't be able to last much longer. In the Mud Pill Palace, the spiritual root talisman's secret inscriptions finally dimmed and wrapped around the primordial spirit. The silver net soul devouring thunder had already merged with the primordial spirit and was difficult to resist at this moment. Although he had woken up, Du Xiaofu was still in a desperate situation. I can't just sit and wait for death. I can't just die like this. Although his heart was heavy and he knew what kind of desperate situation he was in, Du Xiaofu gradually suppressed the panic and thoughts in his heart. The most important thing now was to find a way to escape. As long as there was a glimmer of hope, he couldn't give up. Chapter 1192. Where's the Purple Lightning Profound Cauldron? Du Xiaofu first thought of the Purple Lightning Profound Cauldron. If he hid in the Purple Lightning Profound Cauldron, he might still have a chance to protect himself. As he probed with his consciousness, he was immediately attacked by the surrounding yellow lightning sea. Du Xiaofu had no idea where the Purple Lightning Profound Cauldron was. It was as if he was isolated from everything inside. I can't just wait for death, Du Xiaofu said in a deep voice. Purple lightning flashed in his eyes. There were still many things he had yet to do. There was still his mother, sister, and drunkard father. He had yet to reunite with his family. He had yet to take revenge for Tianwu Academy and the 7-Star Hall. There was still Qingqing. I can't die here. Du Xiaofu gritted his teeth. His eyes were filled with determination and stubbornness. It was just like when he was in front of the ancient stone tablet in the Du family. Even if he was mocked by everyone as a fool, he still insisted on comprehending the stone tablet. Therefore, Du Xiaofu began to think of all the possibilities. He had not been destroyed yet because of his lightning martial vein, his spirit root, and the 3,000 jolting lightning soul seed left behind by his master, the revered equipment master. Therefore, he could only rely on these 3 methods to escape. His heart was filled with stubbornness and determination. However, reality was cruel. Just as Du Xiaofu was thinking of a solution, the 3,000 jolting lightning soul seed retreated. It seemed to have used up a lot of energy and immediately retreated to the side to seek self-protection. Roar, suddenly, without the restraint of the 3,000 jolting lightning soul seed. The lightning turtle roared. Yellow lightning flashed in its eyes. With a greedy gaze, it pounced on Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. Previously, Du Xiaofu could still endure the intense pain in his primordial spirit and body. However, at this moment, without the help of the 3,000 jolting lightning, the intense pain immediately intensified by who knew how many times, causing Du Xiaofu to immediately let out a blood-curdling scream. Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit was covered in the dim light of the spirit root, which was the final barrier, allowing Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit to resist for a short while. However, if that spirit root were to dissipate, there would be no way to stop it. Once his primordial spirit was destroyed by the spirit lightning soul seed, Du Xiaofu knew that he would die and would no longer exist in this world. The thunder martial vein could barely protect his physical body, but it could not enter his Naiwan palace to protect his primordial spirit. We can't go on like this. It's good to buy some time. Du Xiaofu made a decision. Silver lightning bolts shot out from his primordial spirit and turned into a tree of silver lightning bolts to assist his spiritual root in resisting the lightning tortoise. Du Xiaofu was unable to control his spirit root, so he could only control his primordial spirit, which was equivalent to controlling the silver net soul devouring lightning. With the help of the silver lightning tree, Du Xiaofu clearly felt a lot more relaxed, but he was afraid that he would not be able to hold on for much longer. After doing all this, Du Xiaofu struggled to get up from the yellow lightning sea and sat cross-legged in the sea of lightning. Feeling the torturous pain both inside and outside, Du Xiaofu's pale lips were dry and chapped. He muttered softly, "Is there really no other way this time?" Time passed slowly, and Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged and endured. Under such painful torture, being trapped in the sea of lightning, he had lost the concept of time. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was not in the mood to pay attention to time. In the vast sea of lightning, he was the only one who existed. Being tortured by such inhumane pain made him feel an indescribable loneliness deep in his heart. This kind of loneliness could devour a person's heart. Those with weak wills would probably be defeated by this kind of pain. Crackle. In the sea of lightning, only the crackling sound of the electric arcs could be heard. The vast expanse of time seemed to have no end. He did not know how long all this pain and suffering would last. This was a kind of painful torture for Du Xiaofu's soul and spirit. It was enough to make him go crazy. "I can't die. I definitely can't die," Du Xiaofu muttered to himself and persevered with the stubborn belief in his heart. However, under such perseverance, Du Xiaofu did not know how long he had persevered. Du Xiaofu felt that the thunder martial vein in his body was gradually unable to hold on. It was not that the thunder martial vein was not strong enough, but that the yellow lightning outside was too strong. It was forcing the thunder martial vein to retreat. If the thunder martial vein had not been able to absorb lightning energy on its own and replenish its consumption for its own use, Du Xiaofu felt that the thunder martial vein would have been forced back long ago. However, under such circumstances, Du Xiaofu felt a subtle feeling in this lonely time. The thunder martial vein had originally absorbed the yellow lightning. At this moment, it was continuously absorbing it over a long period of time. It seemed to be undergoing a transformation as it was being forced back. The thunder martial vein was resisting the yellow lightning mechanically. It was also devouring the yellow lightning mechanically. It seemed to be transforming on its own, becoming stronger and stronger. This feeling was extremely subtle. If it had not been for this lonely time and space, Du Xiaofu would not have been able to sense it. His body was in excruciating pain, as if it was being burned by a raging fire. Du Xiaofu felt that his body had finally started to crack. Everything started to weaken. Du Xiaofu's mind started to weaken. Deep in his heart, a kind of powerless exhaustion welled up. The Thunder Turtle seemed to be able to detect any minute changes in Du Xiaofu. At this moment, it felt that Du Xiaofu's aura was weakening and even intensified its attacks. Walala! The monstrous yellow lightning kept attacking Du Xiaofu's Niwen Palace. It kept attacking the spiritual root and the silver lightning tree, which were getting weaker and weaker. During this period of time, Du Xiaofu's silver lightning tree and the spiritual root that was resisting by itself became weaker and weaker. In the end, it was difficult for them to hold on. However, during this process, there seemed to be some unexpected changes. Unknowingly, the silver lightning tree and the talisman engravings on the spiritual root light net started to show signs of merging. At this moment, the destructive power of the Thunder Turtle's upper destruction was about to destroy Du Xiaofu's spiritual root and primordial spirit. However, it was like a big furnace that merged Du Xiaofu's spiritual root and the silver lightning tree on his primordial spirit. They merged quietly amidst the destructive power. This merging was very slow, but the signs were there. In the end, it would only take time for them to truly fuse together. Of course, the Thunder Turtle Soul Seed did not know that it had helped Du Xiaofu a lot because of it. In the future, Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit would be able to defy the natural order, and it would definitely be related to the Thunder Turtle Soul Seed. Compared to Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit, the situation was the same. However, Du Xiaofu's physical body was much more miserable. Du Xiaofu's physical body was already cracking. Even with the indestructible Xian body and the golden-winged Great Rock's body, it was difficult for him to withstand the destructive power of the yellow lightning. Walala! As his physical body started to crack, Du Xiaofu's appearance became extremely frightening. His body was covered in pale golden blood. The boiling pale golden blood, along with the talisman engravings, spread out and dyed Du Xiaofu into a blood man. Du Xiaofu's bones and muscles were also distorted. If he was an ordinary Nirvana martial sovereign, he would have been directly destroyed. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's indestructible Xian body and the golden-winged Great Rock's body played a huge role in this desperate situation. Although his physical body was also cracking, at least Du Xiaofu could still barely hold on. Sensing that Du Xiaofu's physical body was cracking and that his primordial spirit could no longer hold on, the Thunder Turtle's eyes became greedy and the energy it released became more and more intense. Walala! As Du Xiaofu's body cracked, the Thunder Martial Vein Talisman runes also retreated a little. The few Qinquan bags around Du Xiaofu lost their protection and were completely exposed to the yellow lightning. Then, they began to crack and be destroyed in an instant. Forcibly destroying the Qinquan bags would also completely destroy the things inside. Even if I die, I won't let you off so easily. Suddenly, Du Xiaofu opened his eyes and purple lightning shot out. Just as the Qinquan bags were about to be destroyed, Du Xiaofu directly opened the Qinquan bags. Walala! Suddenly, a large amount of multicolored light spread out and a large pile of treasures rolled out from the Qinquan bags. It was as if they were piled up into a small mountain. These were all treasures that Du Xiaofu had collected. There were talisman weapons, Dao weapons, martial techniques, and refining materials. There were also various heavenly treasures that Du Xiaofu had collected along the way, as well as a large number of high-grade elixirs, spiritual herbs, mystic bones, and demonic beast blood essences. Walala! As if feeling the powerful aura of the treasures that had suddenly appeared. The surrounding yellow lightning suddenly flashed, wanting to directly destroy the martial techniques and talisman weapons and devour their energy for their own use. A large number of heavenly treasures, spiritual herbs, and elixirs were swept up by the lightning. Like a furnace, they were turned into spiritual liquid. In an instant, this large pile of heavenly treasures, spiritual herbs, and elixirs turned into a large ball of spiritual liquid the size of a face. The spiritual liquid was colorful and forcefully gathered together. The violent energy spread. If an ordinary peak chaotic element martial venerable were to come into contact with it, his body would explode and he would die immediately. Kaka kaka kaka. At the same time, the demonic beast blood essences that Du Xiaofu had collected in a large number of bottles and jars exploded and cracked. They gathered together in the spiritual liquid of the spiritual herbs, elixirs, and heavenly treasures. It was like a hodgepodge that finally gathered together. Chapter 1193. Among them, the dragon blood of the Dragon 9 that Du Xiaofu had collected was also gathered within, bringing with it the faint roar of a dragon. Crackle! The yellow lightning boiled as if it had seen its prey when it sensed the huge energy fluctuation. It turned into a howling yellow lightning vortex, wanting to devour the ball of spirit liquid that was filled with terrifying energy fluctuations. You want to snatch my stuff? You're not good enough. Suddenly, at the same time, Du Xiaofu also moved. Du Xiaofu rushed out with the last of his strength, opened his mouth and sucked. Whoosh! He was already close, and at this moment, he swallowed the ball of energy that was the size of a face directly into his mouth. Rumble! Seeing this scene, the yellow lightning was enraged. It had turned those heavenly treasures, elixirs, and medicinal pills into spiritual liquid, but it didn't expect that it would help Du Xiaofu, and it instantly exploded. Thunder rumbled as it swept towards Du Xiaofu's body even more violently. Ah! Du Xiaofu screamed, not only because the yellow lightning's explosion was destroying his body, but also because he had swallowed so much of the violent spirit liquid in one go. That terrifying energy in Du Xiaofu's body was like a volcano erupting, wanting to destroy Du Xiaofu's body from the inside out. The energy contained in that ball of spirit liquid far exceeded Du Xiaofu's expectations. However, this was not important, because Du Xiaofu's plan was that even if he had to play himself to death, he would not let the spirit thunder obtain it. That would only make him die faster. Refine. In an instant, Du Xiaofu immediately activated the Golden Rock technique to refine the terrifying spirit liquid energy in his body. However, it was only for an instant. Under this kind of internal and external attack, Du Xiaofu once again fainted from the intense pain, but the golden rock technique in his body automatically activated. Rumble. The dazzling yellow lightning surged, as if it was in a rage. Endless waves of lightning surged towards Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu had already lost consciousness. At this moment, he did not know that after he fainted, the terrifying energy in his body erupted like a volcano, wanting to destroy everything. However, there was also energy that overflowed and wrapped around his broken body, nourishing his body and the thunder martial vein to help him resist. Roar. Almost at the same time, the beast roared like thunder. The blood essences that Du Xiaofu had collected from the demonic beasts on the heavenly beast list also began to take effect. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was operating the golden-winged rock cultivation method, which was equivalent to refining his body, transforming into ferocious energy phantoms that wrapped around Du Xiaofu's body. Oh! One of the azure dragon phantoms hovered ferociously, exuding a powerful dragon aura. Its aura was astonishing, causing the surrounding beast phantoms to submit to it. The azure dragon phantoms were formed from the blood essence of Dragon 9 that Du Xiaofu had collected. The blood of Dragon 9 had also been swallowed by Du Xiaofu. This change immediately attracted the attention of the yellow lightning. It suddenly became more violent, erupting with a terrifying aura of destruction. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu's body was protected by a large amount of energy. Inside his body, under the protection of the energy, it began to gradually recover, and a tenacious vitality appeared. Using the golden-winged rock cultivation method, Du Xiaofu refined the spirit liquid energy for his own use, nourishing and restoring his body and strengthening his thunder martial vein. Du Xiaofu was also refining the blood essences of the demonic beasts to strengthen his body refining method. Those yellow lightning bolts were powerful, constantly attacking and destroying Du Xiaofu's body. However, thanks to the sudden surge of energy that he had swallowed, the unconscious Du Xiaofu began to persevere, and once again began a tug-of-war with the yellow lightning spiritual lightning. And this kind of intense pain had reached the most unbearable level. Fortunately, Du Xiaofu had fainted, which was equivalent to losing consciousness, and had unknowingly escaped a calamity. After an unknown amount of time, in this lonely space where only the sound of thunder and lightning could be heard, after a long tug-of-war, the yellow lightning fell into a frenzy. The yellow lightning spiritual lightning realized that the human was actually on the verge of destruction. Suddenly, it began to reverse, and its aura began to become stronger and stronger. Du Xiaofu's body was slowly recovering, and at the same time, transforming. As the volcanic eruption of the spiritual liquid energy in Du Xiaofu's body was refined under the pain of destruction, it also turned into an endless stream of profound qi that surged into the dried-up spirit watchtower. The spirit watchtower was no longer dried up and could nourish the body, bones, and muscles. It could also nourish the thunder martial vein, and gradually, the aura of the body began to become stronger and stronger. Du Xiaofu's body refining method was refining the blood essences of the demonic beasts. His profound qi guided the energy of the blood essences of the demonic beasts to attack his body, and there was a light that spread from the inside out. The light was resplendent, and the runes flickered, constantly changing. This time, Du Xiaofu himself did not know how much blood essences of the demonic beasts he had swallowed this time. In this desperate situation, Du Xiaofu finally used the golden-winged rocks cultivation method to refine the majestic energy of the large pile of blood essences of the demonic beasts into every bit of flesh, bone, and cell in his body. The violent energy of the many demonic beasts' blood essences attacked and cleansed Du Xiaofu's bones of the impurities that were hard to find in his marrow and nourished his body. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was in a coma, and his bones and marrow were being cleansed to the extreme. Unknowingly, as Du Xiaofu used the blood essences of the demonic beasts to cleanse his bones and marrow, and under the impact of the yellow lightning around him, some of the yellow lightning entered his body to cleanse his bones and marrow. In the beginning, the demonic beast phantoms circling around blocked the yellow lightning arcs from entering his body. In the end, Du Du Xiaofu's body seemed to have gotten used to the yellow lightning arcs and began to actively absorb the yellow lightning arcs around him to cleanse his bones and marrow. Du Xiaofu's thunder martial vein strengthened again. It was the supreme aura of thunder and lightning. In the beginning, it was suppressed because Du Xiaofu was too weak. However, it had helped Du Xiaofu's body to sustain until now and had not really collapsed. At this moment, as the energy in Du Xiaofu's body recovered, the thunder martial vein erupted again. In the end, just like before, it began to wantonly devour the yellow lightning. At this moment, under the premise that Du Xiaofu had almost played himself to death, everything seemed to have reversed in his coma. Halala! In this yellow lightning space, Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged and fainted. The electric arcs around his body were connected, and golden light had already begun to spread. The mysterious runes of the talisman flashed. From afar, it looked like a golden-winged rock was circling behind Du Xiaofu. It was so domineering that it was enough to make all beasts crawl. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's body, which was originally covered in blood, now had a purple-gold color on his exposed skin. It was sparkling and translucent. After the cleansing of his bones and marrow, his physical body was once again strengthened. With the blood essence of the demonic beasts, especially Dragon Nine's dragon blood, Du Xiaofu's body continued to strengthen. By chance, Du Xiaofu was still devouring the yellow lightning and cleansing his bones and marrow. No one knew what other changes would happen in the future. However, one could feel that Du Xiaofu's body continued to strengthen with the addition of the yellow lightning and marrow. It was beneficial and harmless. No one knew how much time had passed. In the sea of lightning, all kinds of dazzling runes flashed. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's body, which was sitting cross-legged, had become crystal clear. Du Xiaofu's aura had started to grow in this sea of lightning. It was unknown when it had started, but the speed of its growth was extremely fast. Behind his back, his long black hair was wrapped in golden runes and accompanied by electric arcs. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was like a deity. He emitted a domineering aura that was ancient and mysterious. Without a doubt, Du Xiaofu had started to transform in this sea of lightning. He had gone from destruction to hope. The speed of this transformation was very slow, but the level of the transformation this time was extremely high. This might even be a caterpillar breaking out of its cocoon and transforming into a butterfly. It was an astonishing transformation that would allow one to be reborn. The transformation was progressing slowly, but Du Xiaofu's aura was rising rapidly. The large pile of spiritual herbs, heavenly treasures, and demonic beast blood essence were piled up like a small mountain. They were all high-level treasures. One could imagine how much energy they contained. At this moment, the astonishing energy had all landed in Du Xiaofu's body. It allowed Du Xiaofu to walk around the gates of hell and obtain astonishing benefits in the end. Under the refinement of the golden rock technique, the astonishing energy turned into surging profound energy that continuously flowed into the God's Watchtower under the premise that Du Xiaofu had persevered and didn't die. It had been more than half a year since Du Xiaofu had caused a ruckus in the Hahuan school. In this half a year, many things had happened in the Hahuan school. It had to be mentioned that a few months ago, the Sameng sword sect had suddenly come to the Hahuan school with great momentum, wanting the Hahuan school to hand over the Demon King, Du Xiaofu. Facing the Sameng sword sect, one of the strongest forces in the entire Shang prefecture, the Hahuan school had no choice but to treat them seriously. However, the answer given by the Hahuan school was that the Demon King, Du Xiaofu, had already escaped from the Hahuan school. Thus, the Sameng sword sect was unable to verify the truth. Furthermore, Du Xiaofu had slaughtered everyone in the Hahuan school. The number of Hahuan school's martial honorable realm experts that had died in his hands was not small. Thus, the Sameng sword sect could only leave in the end. Furthermore, Du Xiaofu still had a relationship with the Sameng sword sect. After causing a ruckus in the Hahuan school, he was still able to escape safely and swagger away. This caused a commotion in the Shang prefecture once again and became the most lively topic of discussion. In this half a year, many things had happened in the Shang prefecture. The first was the establishment of the Evil Purifying Alliance.